the 42! Welcome to the 42! This is the theme song till I get something better. Yeah, we talk about geek stuff. Welcome to the 42.
Oh my God, that's great.
Oh, I love it.
I figured since Chris isn't here, we had to have him introduce us.
And how fitting is it that he was wearing a Star Wars shirt? I noticed
We
that.
all are.
We all are.
Yeah.
We all are.
Oh my
yeah,
God,
so
that's
welcome
great.
to the 42, as Chris said. We are sans Chris tonight. He is busy, but he is here in spirit. We are joined by our normal co-host, Katia Howitson, and our special guest, Andrew Wolf. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me again.
I missed it last time, so
I know.
I've been looking forward to this. Yep.
I feel like I'm just going to rotate through guest hosting. So next time Katya's out, I'll be going to get. No.
I don't miss your when you're here. I don't miss it.
Oh, all right.
Wow.
Well,
That's on camera now.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. All right, that's fine.
Well, anytime Chris or Michael can't make it.
You are welcome on the show anytime.
Oh, thank you.
No, we can all be here for it. It's not like you're only allowed on the show when one of us isn't here. You're allowed on the show whenever. So
I don't know.
He could become the honorary third, the sub host. You know, when one of us is missing, he comes in and then subs in.
I'm like, I don't know how many people know this reference, but like Joan Rivers for Johnny Carson, you know, whenever he was out, she always guest hosted his show. I'm sure there's a more modern, current representation of somebody who's a consistent guest host, but that's what I could think of.
That's a good reference. It's dated, but that's a good reference. Accurate.
Well, I'm dated, so you know.
So you'd be the Joan Rivers to Chris's Johnny Carson?
Sure.
Wow.
Or yours, or whoever.
Okay. Well, we already know Katia is never going to miss a show that you're on, so that would create quite a conundrum.
I'm committed.
Well,
oh, Matt.
Yes, Matt
Hi,
is
Matt.
watching. Hey, Matt.
So, fun fact, this is my first time running the behind the curtain stuff, so there will be plenty of screw ups. I'm still kind of learning how it's working. I will make sure I try and do the banners every time we switch. But in the comments, well, now I know that this is here, so there you go. There's your more modern reference.
I haven't watched that show, so I wouldn't even know.
I don't either. The only late night I ever consistently watched in the last couple of years is Stephen Colbert, and like he never misses, or if he's out, they just don't air it.
Yeah, do the reruns.
Makes sense.
So for tonight, we have a pretty packed banner list I have here on the right. We figured we'd go over our top 3-ish sci-fi games. Leading into Katia has made a sci-fi trivia board game trivia for us, which I'm dreading. It's going to be awful for me.
Come on.
Then we were talking about something else, but maybe we're going to play Colorful if we're up for it.
So.
If time allows, obviously, because we also have to talk about the Book of Boba, which will be fun later on. And then I have a question to end the show, which I'm not going to tell you until the end because it ends the show. Why would I tell you now? So do we want to get right into the top sci-fi?
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's do it. And of course, it's 3-ish because I did not do top 3. I actually have 5 with maybe a couple honorable mentions.
Yeah, I did 3 plus 3, so 6 for me.
Yeah.
Nice.
I did 3, and then I have like some honorable mentions.
Nice. So why don't we? Well, first off, sci-fi is kind of itself, but what defines a sci-fi game for you guys? And let's start with Andrew.
Well, when thinking about this, I kind of classified it as something that involved like extraterrestrial settings, so other planets other than Earth, futuristic technology, so like spaceships or lasers, or just like technology that doesn't really exist in a modern setting. like interstellar travel. So just like planets and solar systems and galaxies and anything like that I think kind of incorporates that kind of setting, that kind of tone is how I sort of came about this.
Okay, Katia.
For me, it would be very similar, space related or alien related, even time travel. I would consider as part of sci-fi, and then like you said, the modern, like the advanced technology, all of that. Yeah, it's pretty similar. That's what I would consider sci-fi.
Nice. Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you guys. I do want to mention Mike's comment about the intro.
It's the best.
It is pretty damn good. That is for sure.
Yeah, it's the best.
All right, so why don't we start, Katia? Why don't you lead us off with your whatever you want to lead with?
I will start with my real top 3. I'll start with my third one. It would have to be New Frontiers. Oh, hi, Peter. Why, did I miss something?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, I know, right? I knew he was going to act up when you're on camera. It's bound to happen.
Which is so rude. New Frontiers.
Yes, New Frontiers. It's a game that I played. It was actually pretty early on in my, return to the hobby. I went and played with a bunch of friends. It's a game where I believe, from what I recall, you have like a tableau that you're purchasing tiles and putting on there. You're also discovering planets and colonizing them, and you're adding planets onto the edges of your tableau. And there's the really cool follow mechanic. I love the follow mechanism because it makes it that when it's not your turn, you still have something to do. And I really, really like when games do that. So, I mean, I had played Tiny Epic Galaxies pretty early on and really liked that. So when I played New Frontiers, that was something that I really enjoyed. So, and people said that it's based off of another game, but anyways, that's the one I ended up playing before the other one. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was pretty, like, it had enough to it, not too simple. But yeah, just engaging. That was a good one.
Cool. I haven't played that one yet.
It's a good one. Yeah. I have played it, and I don't want to spoil anything, but we'll talk more about it later.
Okay.
In my list.
Okay.
Cool. Why don't we go to your list? What do you got for us?
Well, I kind of want to get like the honorable mentions out of the way first because I don't know, I think it's just easy to talk about them. Like I think when we kind of talked about what we were going to do this week, we talked about like we could do Star Wars stuff or sci-fi stuff or something along those lines, and I think the expectation is, I'll put like, Dark Side Rising in. So I don't want to put another one of my games in, even though I do love it dearly, but I feel like I'm particularly biased to it. So I want to just give it an honorable mention, kind of get it out of the way. But I also was reminded, like, that's, I think, the first game that the three of us played together. Mm-hmm. So it definitely, I think, warrants some inclusion just for the three of us as like our first game together and, a sci-fi game. But to get to the actual list, my number 3 is Starfarers of Catan, which is an old game. I played it many, many, many years ago, but I believe it got reissued, re-released a year or two ago. I didn't play the re-release, but my sort of original gaming group where I got my introduction to hobby, played that quite a bit, sort of after we discovered Settlers and played the heck out of that. And then we're like, there's another Catan game. Mm-hmm. And I really like Starfarers. I think it's really fun. I don't know if the re-release retained sort of all the charm of the original, but the original one had like a ship, and you had to you have to shake your ship, and like it would, instead of rolling dice, and you would add things onto your ship. It had this cool, everybody had this plastic like rocket ship thing that like you built onto it as you were exploring. It let you do more things in the game. And it was just really fun. It did feel like, we were all building up these, explorations of the galaxy, with our rocket ship, and then settling different areas and stuff. So yeah, that's my number 3.
It's a good one. We already got a nod for Tiny Epic Galaxies.
Yeah.
It's
such a good game. And
yep.
Yeah, maybe I'll wait until it comes back to me, and then I'll mention that one in my honorable mentions. But yeah, it's a good one.
It is. So for honorable mentions, and I mentioned this on almost every one of our top lists, if ever there is a chance to talk about Arkham or Asking for Troubles, I leave it off the list because they are my favorites. And I know Arkham is not sci-fi, just in general. So what normally would take up a spot in this list would be Asking for Troubles. But since it gets mentioned often, that would be my honorable mention, along with Twilight Imperium 3, because I only played it once. That was that 11.5-hour marathon. But it was probably one of my top 3 best ever board game experiences that I've had being in the hobby. I don't know if I've played it enough to really have it hit a top list yet, but I wanted to mention it because it is sci-fi, it is pretty epic, and it was one of my more superior board game experiences. So I had 2 honorables, and I will go with Darkside Rising on my list.
Oh,
so it would have been Thanos Rising, because that was the first time I think I met you was at the gathering and actually had you sign the box.
True.
And I love the game. I love the content. I love being in that world. And then we played Darkside Rising together. And the little nugget of what pushed this ahead of Thanos for me was the nugget you told us about where you had to live when you designed the game. So this is a little bit of, Andrew, tell us what you had to do to design it. But in all genuine nature, this is really one of my more favorite games to play. But you did tell us a story about what you had to do with the characters that were involved in the game and how they had to kind of live together, if you don't mind.
Oh, sure. I'd love to tell that story.
Oh.
So to go maybe even deeper into it, I don't even know if I told you this part of the story. The game was kind of conceived at a New York Toy Fair after Thanos Rising had been released. And we were meeting with the Lucas team about new opportunities. This was when I was still at USAopoly, with the understanding that we couldn't publish games in the North American market because of licensing stuff. But we're like, Star Wars is huge, and we've got a bunch of great properties available. So we talked to the Lucas team that represented the EU about making a Star Wars version of Thanos Rising, and they were intrigued with it. So we came back from New York Toy Fair. This was maybe 2017, probably. I think so. And started to work on it, and I conceived a whole bunch of different ideas for what the game could be. Who's the central character? Is it Darth Vader? Is it this was after the new movies had come out, so should it be something focused on Darth Maul, or something in a more current setting, or should it be the Emperor? Should it not be a character or something like that? And we sort of landed on what's a thing that the players cooperatively as heroes would be racing together against to try and thwart? And we're like, well, how about the construction of the Death Star? That's kind of a big momentous thing, and it would give you a center point to rally around. The recovering the plans for the Death Star is a big part of obviously Rogue One and New Hope. So that felt like that was a great launching point. And so that sort of centered the sort of narrative for the game. It was like, okay, you're not trying to stop Thanos from collecting the Infinity Stones. You're trying to stop the Empire from constructing the first Death Star. So that meant okay, well, we'll put Darth Vader in the center instead of Thanos, sort of kind of guiding the construction and being the center point to fight against. and but that also sort of set the timeline for the game and what characters we could and couldn't include. Because with Marvel, we had a little bit more liberty to include characters that maybe didn't show up in the movie or were kind of peripheral in a way. But with Lucas, they're a little bit more strict about their characters and plot interactions and stuff like that, such that they said that we could only include content. They kind of only started with like A New Hope, and I was like, well, that's not enough content to build a game around. We need lots of characters and things like that. And I was like, well, what other sort of events were happening kind of simultaneously, overlapping enough that these characters, in theory, could interact? It was like, well, we could leave it on Rogue One. I mean, Rogue One feeds directly into New Hope. So you're like, those two obviously happen within a very condensed time. And so that opened up a lot more character possibilities. But I really wanted to kind of push the limits a little bit. And we know that there are at least references to Rogue One in the last season of Star Wars Rebels. Like we know that like Hera is mentioned in the what's the name of her ship? The Shadow, not the Shadow.
Ghost.
The Ghost. Yes. It's mentioned. It's like there are references there. So it's like, okay, well, clearly she and the ship and like the crew exist overlapping with Rogue One. So I sort of presented a pitch to the Lucas team and said, here's sort of a span of time where all these characters in theory could interact, and then just presented a whole list of what I wanted to include. And I had to, if they ever had any questions, I had a private reference of like, okay, well, this character showed up in this episode of Rebels season 4 only, and like so they could have interacted with characters from Rogue One. It bleeds into New Hope. So yeah, it just it was really fun to develop in that it allowed a presentation that encompassed like 3 different stories that all kind of flowed together, but had never been presented in that way, all in like one format in this board game. So that's why it's got all of the Rebels characters, the characters from Rogue One, all the characters from A New Hope, a mishmash of like the vehicles you see in all of them. So it's got like the different walkers, it's got U-wings, in addition to like X-wings and Y-wings, but not, and I think it has A-wings, but not B-wings, for example, because B-wings didn't show up in season 4 Rebels, Rogue One or A New Hope. Like this is deep cut. Like B-wings did show up in Rebels, but in earlier season. So they're like, it wasn't in season 4. It was, it was a plot for an earlier season, so I couldn't include it. Stuff like that. But there are characters like Hondo that shows up, and now like Hondo is kind of a big deal because he's in like Star Wars Land. He's in Black Spire Outpost at the Smuggler's Run ride and stuff like that. So it was just fun to incorporate everything in a like a new and unique way. And then we had to like develop an art style that kind of mashed up animated characters with live action characters, and we got to illustrate all the characters in a way that made them feel coherent. And it was just a really, really fun development process. But yeah, it all kind of stemmed out of like that meeting at New York Toy Fair, and we're like, we want to make a Star Wars version of this game. How do we do it? Where can we incorporate enough characters, villains, vehicles, everything like that? Yeah, I'm really, really thrilled with the way it came out, and really excited that I kind of got to build some narrative, like cohesion between disparate stories in a fun way that I think is pretty exciting.
Yeah. On Saturday, I just finished Rebels recently, probably a month or 2 ago. And Saturday I watched Rogue One and right into A New Hope. And when Radis got on screen in Rogue One, I thought back to like Radis in the game. And like, well, like that whole cohesion thing you were talking about these characters living together in this certain timeline, it made that game so much cooler for me because like the Battle of Yavin, like we're on Yavin in Rebels. You see Yavin and like it's just so cool how that whole arc, like you took what normally would be not different, but
disparate kind of stories and pull them together.
So cool. So cool.
Yeah.
So we do have a comment about Thanos Rising, which again, it's phenomenal, especially if you're a Marvel house. It's really, really well done. And Dark Side Rising, it's got the same feel. But just that little behind the curtain kind of opened up the narrative of that game a little bit more for me. And I love narrative in games. So like thinking about Hera and Chopper and Yavin and Radis and Andor, like it was all really cool. And I don't see why Spider-Man can't start on the board.
Yeah, look, you house rule it however you like. If your family wants to have a different starting hero, have a different starting hero. I mean, the ones that are in the game are designed in such a way to kind of help you get your engine going. But, if somebody wants to play a Spider-Man or, whoever, Wong, go for it.
Do it, yeah. You just have less health to start with.
That is true. But maybe you have a different starting ability that would actually be better, Yeah.
Cool.
So that was your number 3.
Yeah, so that'll be 3. We'll move around the clock.
So now I'm wondering, do I do like one honorable mention and one real one, or
you whatever you want to do. Chris isn't here, so there's no rules.
Oh, all right, then it's free for all. Okay. My other sci-fi on my real list would be Anachrony.
Okay.
Yeah, Anachrony, just such a beautifully designed game. It's a worker placement, and you're collecting resources, and you're assigning your workers, which when you have the mech suit, the exo mech suit, you're putting like your little people in there, and you're placing them on the board. Like that alone pulls it all together. You really feel like you're sending your little people in their mech suit. So anyways, and then the addition of the jumping on the timeline and having to, like, in the game, you're going in different places on the timeline to borrow resources and things like that you later on have to go and pay back. So that concept to me was so cool. And yeah, I really, really liked the game. I thought it was really smooth. Like, it looks overwhelming at first, and for sure going through the rules, like I wasn't the one who learned it, but I'm sure that it's a big job to learn the game. But once you start to play it, it's like, okay, yeah, this makes sense. So I really, that to me is one of the best sci-fi games.
I love that idea of borrowing from the future and having to pay it back. I haven't played the game because I can't find someone that's gone through the rules and knows how to actually teach it. But that whole concept, you described it before, that whole concept of going into the future to borrow stuff, but then you got to pay it back. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Have you played it, Andrew?
I haven't, but it's been out for a while, right? It's not.
Yeah, a little while. Yeah, I think they did a reprint last year. I think they came out with is it called the Infinity Box or something like that? Like, they came out with a bigger box that I think included everything. And that was, I believe it was last year.
Yeah, because it was a Kickstarter a few years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have not. It's one of those games that I think looks pretty intimidating and benefits from someone who has experience, knows how to teach it. I'm kind of laughing because I remember Daryl making a post when he was at PAX Unplugged about like playing the game for the first time, learning, like starting at midnight on Saturday at the con. And I was like, this sounds like a terrible idea.
Yep.
It's funny because even like this year at PAX, I ran into friends that were just sitting down to start the game. And one of them had played it before, kind of remembered it, probably at the same level that I did. And then the other guy, I think it was similar situation, but he's like, I'm just going to go back through the rules. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, yeah, this is going to be like a much bigger time commitment than I anticipated. So I'm going to bow out. But yeah, like it would have been cool to play it again. But I think it would have been like a probably at least 3-hour commitment. So it is what it is.
But it sounds really fun. I'd definitely like to give it a shot one day.
Mm-hmm.
It does.
Yeah.
And the production value, that should be a topic we talk about, is the production value of games, because that one looks like it's got, like it's an upper echelon type of game. And they paid attention to detail. Mm-hmm. In addition to the art and the components, it looks really good.
Yeah, because like your little water droplets that you get are actual little like crystal looking water droplets. Like, yeah, it's a really cool game.
Cool.
So yeah,
let's move on down.
All right, my number 2. If anybody doesn't know, I have a real love for deck building games. Like, I'll pretty much play any deck building game anybody presents. I really like the mechanic. I really find it enjoyable, and I would argue that one of the games I've probably played more than any other game is Star Realms. I mean, particularly because the digital implementation is so good. I've probably played. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the thousands.
Oh my god!
Well, I mean, because of the app, like the availability on my phone, it plays quickly. I would have to go back and look in my phone, but I wouldn't be surprised if I played like at least 1,000 games of Star Realms. But also 990 of them are probably digital. Although I own a physical copy of it and some of the expansions, and I played it first that way. But it's a sci-fi game. It's very much, you're in outer space. You've got a lot of cool spaceships. You're building up a fleet. You're, attacking the opponent. And even though the theme might seem a little bit, secondary in that game because it's kind of just, like you're buying stuff and it's numbers. I do like the immersion of it. I think all of the art is gorgeous. All the ships are really cool. Especially when you buy some of the really big ones. I think the most expensive ones cost like 8, and they're like your big capital ships. Like there's a sense of like scale to the game, even just through the cards as you build up this fleet. That I really enjoy. The theme might not seem as coherently integrated, not in a bad way, because it's a deck building game where you're just, you're attacking an opponent. It could be anything. But I do appreciate the sci-fi aspect of it because I haven't really played Hero Realms. I think that theme didn't hook me as much, even though I love fantasy stuff. Probably as much as I like sci-fi. I really like the sci-fi theming. I think it works really well for that game and just makes it engaging. The factions of the ships and it's really, I think it's really well done from the sci-fi theming perspective, and I just think it's a great deck building game too.
Nice.
Yeah, Star Realms is great. I was going to ask you if you played the Hero Realms version of it yet. I can't imagine it's much different in mechanism, but it does have the boss fights and it does have that character kind of building. So
I played it a little bit.
I played that one. I haven't played Star Realms.
Oh, interesting.
Well, you should grab the app. I'm sure it's probably only a couple bucks for the phone.
Do you play with other people when you're playing on the app, or
you can, but you can also play the AI, and they've got some really good campaigns. Like a sequence of 8 missions, and each one kind of has its own special parameters and tweaks the rule set a little bit so that you get advantages, or the boss you're fighting gets some advantages to make it a little bit more challenging. And there's actually a pretty robust narrative and some really good world building around the 4 factions, because there's it's basically colors. Blue is I remember the Federation or something, and they're the kind of good guys. They do more of the trade stuff. Green is this weird alien race called the Blob. Yellow is a mercenary faction, and red is this mech faction. But each of the factions has its own mechanics around it. Red is I think it's called scrap, where you can cull cards out of your deck, and only red really does that. Green, the blob stuff, can infect things and can clear stuff off of the trade row. Blue, the Trade Federation, is the only one that can actually heal and recover life. Yellow is one that has discard mechanics and stuff like that. So there's really good theming around the 4 factions, and there's characters. You can get heroes in the game as well. So there's actually quite a bit of good sci-fi narrative built into what's really just a really solid deck builder.
I like how you worked in Trade Federation into that one.
I think it's called something like that. It might just be the Federation or something. It's kind of they're all inspired by other sci-fi tropes. And the blue faction is kind of like your Starfleet, Star Trek Federation, kind of more interested in like, I guess expansion, but with more peaceful intent and stuff like that. I think that's why they get the healing mechanic and stuff like that.
Mike has a question about paying for more content.
Have I paid for more content? I've bought some of the additional content for the app. Yeah,
Nice.
it's all like I have to give credit to it's Wise Wizard Games now, right?
Mm-hmm.
They changed the name. They make it all very like digestible and affordable. So I think maybe I think somebody I saw mentioned like the base game is free or you can try it out for free. It's only a couple bucks, but each of the expansions is like 99 cents or $1.99. And like at least for the amount of time I've played it, I never really hesitated to go like, yeah, I'll spend another $2 to get, some more added content. And they usually have more like campaigns, so there's more solo play that you get out of it. Plus you just get all of the new content, the new cards, the new mechanics and stuff like that. So I've played it quite a bit. It's really great.
They are. Yeah, that game definitely rewards multiple plays, right? When you start learning that red does this, yellow does that, and you start building your deck accordingly. The games feel for what's in just the base game, the games feel different every time, or at least every time I played it. I've played the app a few times. Usually got my ass kicked by the AI, which is fine, right? You get better when you play computers, like apparently.
Yeah. Well, one other thing I'll add is for probably a couple of years, and it's been a couple of years now, there was a BGG organized Star Realms League. Like everything was kind of facilitated through Board Game Geek through a particular like forum channels. I don't remember who the organizers are, and it's probably still going. And they had a whole like ranking system where you entered, like anybody could just enter to play, and if you won you're put into like 10-man pods, and if you won your pod, you got upgraded to like bronze, and there were like 8 bronzes and 4 silvers and 2 golds and a platinum. So you had like qualify to get into bronze, and then if you could win your bronze season, you went up. If you could win your silver season, you went up. If you like, and there was like relegation down. So if you were like in the bottom 2, you got relegated back down. If you stayed, somewhere in the middle but didn't win, you stayed at your current tier. And I played like, and each season ran. It was like quarterly. It was all like games were organized through the BGG forums, and you had like a week to play your game. And again, so you had to play like 9 games, and then they had like top 2 played off, and then winner would go graduate to the next tier. And I played it for probably a couple of years, and I actually won I made it all the way up to like the top tier, like the top 10 platinum, and won a season.
Wow.
And then I kind of retired. I was like, all right, well, there's kind of nowhere to go at this point. I think I played like one more season, and then I was like, I'm getting like, because it is a commitment. Like you do have to schedule the games and make sure like games don't take that long, but you do have to coordinate things and report your standings and stuff like that. So, but it was really a lot of fun. It was a great community. I mean, hundreds of players with like how the tiers went up. It was, it was really, really cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Steve, how long ago was this that you were doing that?
Probably 3-4 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But I imagine it's still going.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I won it all. I got all the way to the top league and managed to win a season, and then I think I played one more, and then I kind of was like, I'm good.
Did you get like a digital award or medal that you can like print out and frame?
I don't think so. A lot of it was more just for bragging rights than anything. I might have gotten some geek gold or something. I don't know.
That's cool.
So
hey, Brett.
Hey, Brett.
All right. Well, we talked about Star Realms quite a bit, so
now we're back to Michael.
Yeah. So I can sympathize with Matt's comment here. The Waterdeep app also kicks my ass quite often. Very well, both are very well done in digital form. but yeah, the Waterdeep app. And also we have a request for the production value.
The component, the fancy components.
Matt's another friend of the show that's welcome on anytime.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to go over to a Scott Alms game that I feel needs to have more love. Didn't get enough love when it came out.
I think I know which one you're going to say.
Great, but Cosmic Colonies is fantastic. The if you like polyomino games, it's a polyomino game where you're getting your polyominoes from the market and putting them on your asteroid, covering up different terrain types, and at the end of the game, you'll score points for the amount of that terrain that's still showing. So the less that's showing, the more points you get. If you can cover them all up, you get 15 points. If there's one showing, you get 12, that kind of thing. The polyominoes, most of them are typical, like L or T or whatever, with the box and everything. But what gets me, and it's a great, if it were just a polyomino game and you're trying to figure out that puzzle, cool. But what pushes it for me is the card drafting mechanism in the game. Even at 2-player, the game for me is fantastic. You have 4 cards in your hand, and on your turn, you'll play 2 of them. If you're playing the regular game, it doesn't matter. Like, you can play one and then the cards have an action on it. You're either building or gathering resources. But then the 2 cards you play every round get passed to the player on your left, and you get the cards that the person to the right just played. So there's a limited number of cards that are in the game, and you know what people are playing, but there's always those 2 cards in your hand that are either being played at the right time, giving you the right edge when you need it, but you know that when you play it, it's going to be in the game now, and people are going to be able to use it. And that draft mechanism that goes around the table, in addition to the polyomino puzzle of covering up the terrain, for me, it was different because usually it's like trying to fit them together, and you're trying to, like, I don't know, get your polyominoes together, but it doesn't work that way in this one. You're trying to cover up certain amounts of terrain. There's 4 different types. And then there's a set collection. If you have one of each main type, you get extra points. But the way that card drafting mechanism works really pushes that game for me. And I wish it did better than it has done. I don't know how many people's list it's on or how many people have actually played it. But if you haven't, it's it's Scott Alm. So if you like his type of stuff, it's different. It's not like your Tiny Epic series. It's definitely a different type of game, but man, it's a good one.
Yeah, I really enjoy it too. And if I'm not mistaken, when you play it with 2 players, so you each have a stack in the middle. So when you've played your cards, they go into the stack that your opponent will be drawing from. So I don't know if they get those cards right away or if it cycles itself a little bit. But yeah, like Michael was explaining, is the fact that when you're passing the cards, like sometimes you will play cards knowing that it's like, I think that by the time my opponent gets these, they're not really going to be that useful. Like there's some thinking that you wouldn't necessarily realize at first when you start playing the game. But as you take a couple turns and then you get your hands, you're like, oh, I see how this could be really powerful. Okay. So then when I pass it, I'm going to try and, like, next time I play this card, I'm going to pair it with something else so that it's not as powerful, or like there's more to it than meets the eye. So yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, and even in the 2-player game, there's a 2-player board. It has 2 spots for cards, and your cards will actually take a turn off. So when you're playing 2-player, the 2 cards that I play, I'll move them to that board, and the 2 cards that were there would go to the other player, and then the 2 cards that player played would go to that board. So they take a turn out to simulate another player. To make it even, and I can kind of nod to Waterdeep on this. I would never play Waterdeep without the Scoundrels and Skullport expansion. It doesn't add too much. Even if you're a new gamer, the expansion adds enough to be like, this is your first play, this is your first teach, you'll get it. The main game in Cosmic Colonies, the basic game is just you play a card, it's got actions on it, move along. In the advanced game, there's a daytime and a nighttime action, and whatever card you play first, you can only do the daytime action. Whatever card you play second, you only do the nighttime action. So as you get more familiar with the game, you can play the advanced and play with the advanced cards, and it's even more challenging. Not only do you have the polyomino puzzle on your asteroid, But then you have this: what card should I play? How do I optimize based on the 4 cards I have, knowing what I'm going to get or what's in the game or whatever? How do I play that puzzle? It's a super cool game.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, even a 2-player. I mean, I think it plays to 5, and there's a solo mode, so it's very versatile as a game. But yeah, it's pretty damn solid.
Oh, it's in the other room, so I'm using components from it.
I usually get up during a show to find a game, but I'm not.
I needed the green, so it's.
Oh, right. You're
yeah.
waiting for it to come around, and you may build your board waiting for it, and it just won't come. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's nice little filler tiles too. Like there's a 1-box and a 2-box one, but you'll only be able to get them if you have the right card. And like playing it will help somebody fill in a gap or get those extra points. So holding on to that card for the right moment to draft the thing, it's super smart. So yeah, Cosmic Colonies would be my number 2.
Yep.
I haven't played it. I have as an aside, a question for you, Katia, because you just mentioned it's not here because you're using the components. So I assume you're doing some kind of mosaic, some art with it.
Yes.
How do you keep track of components you use in art that you, I assume, want to return to the games?
It's just up here.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember what things are from. I just have that kind of like visual memory that I know. Like the tricky ones are coins, like the cardboard coins. When I start needing that because I need a certain type of gray or a certain type of gold, and then I go looking for coins, that's a bit trickier. And that's when I'll leave stuff out. I'll leave the box out with the bag of the other coins in there. But typically, like right now, I have like a tray full of baggies of components that's sitting in my studio, and everything is put into the boxes back into the shelves because I knew I had the show. So I'm gonna have to put everything back, but like I know which pieces go where. I don't know. Like I don't use just small cubes, so things have a particular shape, and I know where they go. So.
Yeah, but I've seen so much of your art, and there's a lot of components.
Oh, the one I was working on. Yeah, the one I was working on today has probably the most variety I've used so far in one single piece. Like it's just, I think almost all of my games have something from there in it. So it's a beast. But yeah.
So what I hear is the next time we're on the show, we're going to have a board game component trivia, and we're just going to throw components at Katia, and she's got to figure out, because clearly she knows them all.
But they have to be from my games. Otherwise, that's just not fair.
Sure, we'll screenshot your...
I can do that. I will. Absolutely. We'll do that. You guys can quiz me.
All right. Someone take a screenshot of that, blow it up so we know what games
are... pictures. You don't have to screenshot it now. I'll send you pictures. But yeah, it's it's definitely something that can be done. It'll be fun. You can make fun of me if I mess up.
I don't think you will.
No, I doubt it. I got to do the order. Wait, hold on.
I think we're back to me for
number 1.
Yeah.
Or any honorable mentions you might have still.
Yeah, so I have my list of honorable mentions keeps growing because I'm remembering things. So I apologize if by the end of the show I've listed 10 games. Okay. I would have to say my number 1 is Gaia Project. For those that have played Terra Mystica, it's basically the equivalent in a space world, but they fixed a couple things. It makes it a little bit easier to travel, I find. You're a little bit less limited, and part of it is because of the I forget what they refer to it in the game, but basically you can the equivalent of terraforming a planet and basically use it by going through that process instead of following like the conversion that you normally would in Terra Mystica. But yeah, it's just those 2 games. So Gaia Project is a game where it basically there is no luck. It's all you. It's all how you've planned your game and how you've played the game. So you can't blame, oh, but this card got turned up, or this happened, or I got a bad dice roll. No, this is all you. So it's a really interesting gaming experience for, like, especially if you're playing with people that, you know, are very intense or like take this very seriously. It's like, this is the game to play so that we can basically, the bragging rights at the end of it. It's like you've earned it because it was like all your own planning. So it's a really, really fun game, and it's a beast to learn. I hear the solo mode is really good, but yeah, it's there's, you know, tracks. There's it has that that sort of tableau where you have all of your buildings, and as you're placing buildings on the board, then it gives you more resources or less depending on which building that you're placing. So during the income phase, you might get more of certain things but less of others because of what you've placed. I don't know, the whole thing's just beautifully designed in my opinion. So,
and now Capstone has it too, so
yeah, I think my version or the version I had was Z-Man. I think
the original. Yeah. Capstone's killing it. I don't know if they did anything to the components or made it any better, but man, they've been putting out some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
So no one to blame but yourself, huh? For Gaia Project. It's all on you.
It is. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I've never played it or Terra Mystica.
No? Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Yeah,
I've
Terra Mystica.
played a lot of games. There's so many.
There are so many.
I'm wasting my time playing 1,000 games of Star Realms, apparently.
Yeah, there's the problem.
Yeah, but I won,
That's
some BGG league. So, I feel like that was worth the investment.
Speaking of Katia, Matt would like to know something.
Oh, no, it's not. Not at all. Oh, and my art pieces? No, not even close. Or do you mean my list games?
The game, so we know what to pull from for the Katia component trivia.
No, I don't. No, I don't even. Do I even have one? I'm not sure.
I don't keep track of that.
Yeah, it's not. If there's one that's not updated.
Okay.
No.
There you go. All right.
All right, my number one. And all right, so I'm going to start with an honorable mention that will lead into my number one. Terraforming Mars Ares expansion. I'll be the first to admit I don't love Terraforming Mars. I think it's okay. I've played it a handful of times. I've had a decent experience with it. I think it's a bit much. I think it's one of those games that, like Star Realms, you kind of really have to invest in it and know all the cards and really grok how everything comes together. I think to play that game well and to get the most out of it. I don't think it's the game where you play it once or twice and you're like, this was amazing, because it's a lot. There's a lot of cards. They're all unique, and there's all these different interactions and all this like symbology and stuff like that. But I know a lot of people who they love it, but they probably already also played it 100 times.
Right.
I liked it, but didn't love it enough to want to invest in it. But I played Ares expansion a couple of times actually at the Gathering, and I really liked that quite a bit more. And I was aware of it and pretty intrigued by it because it was my understanding that it was it was inspired by Terraforming Mars, but also inspired by what actually is my number one game, Race for the Galaxy, which you mentioned with New Frontier. So Race for the Galaxy was the first in sort of that franchise, that world of games that went on to have Roll for the Galaxy and Jump Drive and New Frontiers. They're all the same setting, the same sci-fi universe, but Race was the first of them. So anyway, I mentioned Ares expansion because it takes a lot of the things that I like about Race for the Galaxy and layers in the Terraforming Mars stuff. And
we have Elena watching, by the way.
Hmm?
Elena just joined us. Elena just joined in. Hi, Elena.
Hi, Elena. But yeah, I love Race for the Galaxy, and I like all of its sort of successors as well. I've only played Roll a couple times. It's a bit much. It's a bit like more. It's like it's meatier, which I think is good, but it's I think a little bit less approachable. I have Jump Drive. It's fine. Like it's lighter than Race. And New Frontiers are probably the closest to Race for the Galaxy. If I would happily play either of them. I think the thing that one of the things I like about Race the most is like it came first, so I've played it the most of all of them, and it's just cards, so it's kind of very simple. You don't have to worry about a lot of setup, a lot of components. It's just a deck of cards. You deal everybody, a hand, and you go. There's really other than some victory point chips, there's no other components. The resources are the cards, and the way to make choices about which you play from your hand and how you build your tableau. I think it's really elegant. And it's another game that my sort of original gaming group, when I sort of got my introduction into hobby, latched onto pretty early. And I don't know if I played thousands of games of it, but I've probably played hundreds of games. Because I would play a lot of 2-player games. And because we just played so much, we knew all the cards, we could play very quick. We could play 4 or 5 games in an hour, and we would just play for hours on end. And it has a bunch of expansions that add a lot of interesting elements to it. I actually do think, just like Star Realms, the setting of it, the sci-fi universe is kind of cool. At first, you're kind of just learning the game and learning the mechanics and getting comfortable, and the art and the theming is kind of there. But as you learn more about sort of the cards and the interactions, there actually is a lot of interesting thought to it, and it makes sense about these alien planets and this militaristic force and this other rebel faction and stuff like that. There's kind of a cool story there that I think a lot of games for theme, it can be an entry point and kind of create some immersion, but it kind of takes a back seat as you're learning the game. And then as you get more comfortable with it, the theme becomes a little more predominant as you're like, okay, I know the mechanics. Now I'm kind of getting into the flavor of it more, especially if it's not based on an IP, but like an imagined universe like Star Realms or Race for the Galaxy. Where you're like, okay, somebody actually spent a lot of time thinking about how they're naming everything and how these cards interact and the rationale for why they interact in certain ways because of factions or abilities or whatever else. That I think this just kind of then layers into the mechanics. So it's interesting. It's like you get the mechanics and then you start to kind of immerse yourself in the theme more, and then that kind of feeds back into why the mechanics are the way they are, which I think is really clever and elegant and gives a lot of games a lot more sustainability because you kind of want to go back and investigate it. And it's like, oh, I get it. I understand why this interacts with this way, instead of just going like, okay, slot A fits into, part B and stuff like that, because that's the mechanical part of it. So, So you mentioned New Frontiers. I love Race for the Galaxy, and I really like the whole franchise. But Race is definitely at the top of my list. And
I've never played
the original. You've never
I feel
played
like
Race?
I need to. Yeah, I feel like it's something I need to try is Race and Roll, like both of them. But I've never played either, so hopefully.
Well, if you play New Frontiers, one of the things that I hear a lot of people are very critical of, and because I know Matt's hanging around in the chats, I'd be interested to hear his thoughts of it, is that people find the iconography pretty dense and a barrier to entry. But for me, I can agree with that assessment. But I think once I learned it, and it took a little bit of effort to learn, but I kind of enjoyed the process of learning it. I felt like I was learning a foreign language because it all started to click together and make sense. And I could look at a card and instantaneously know what it did. And it was all language independent because there was some forethought to the iconography and the way it works. I kind of liken it to hieroglyphics. And it's like I could look at a symbol and in plain English explain, and it's like this plus this means do this plus this with it. It's like, how do you know that? It's like, well, that's just what the symbols say. you know, and they're like, oh, but I find it so hard to grok. And I was like, yeah, I get that, but once you get it, and once you've learned the iconography, well, for one, the smart thing they did is it's consistent for all of them. So if you know the iconography of race, you can instantly look at Roll for the Galaxy cards or Jump Drive cards or New Frontier cards, and you're like, oh, I know what this does because I know what this means from that game, and it's always consistent, which I think is a really smart thing they did.
That's good.
But yeah, it can be very daunting at first.
Yeah,
and I think a little bit
it's funny because you say you enjoy that. I don't enjoy that. There are games that I've passed up on because it looked overwhelming, and I heard the iconography was, like a little too much to, like it would take too much time to learn all of the iconography. I think Yokohama is one of those. People had suggested that game because I like Istanbul, and I looked at the board, and I was like, no, thanks. I'm good with Istanbul. Like it looks like too much. It's just, but
yeah, I feel like I made it to the other side, and I got it for that. And then really, it all clicked in. And I don't know if anybody knows. I think it's just as an aside, it's worth talking about. Yeah, I think I agree with Peter. Like when you add a couple of the expansions in, it gets particularly better. There are some goals that you can go after, independent, that score you extra points and stuff like that. So I think I prefer it with the first 2 expansions. There's one expansion that kind of took a little bit of a left turn that wasn't, I don't think, as compelling. Anyway, but I don't know if people know that, at least my understanding is like Race got its foundations from San Juan, which is the card game version of Puerto Rico. I don't know if you've all ever played San Juan before.
Yeah.
It basically plays like Race. Like you have a hand of cards. You spend some of the cards' resources to play cards in front of you to do some tableau building. They give you abilities, and kind of, so it's got a tableau engine building aspect of it, but it's also just card based as well. And it also, I think, the nice thing about San Juan is it takes some of the problematic elements about Puerto Rico and kind of removes them, because it's just about building like your city. And I could be misremembering some of it, because I know, like I still appreciate and would enjoy a game of Puerto Rico, but I definitely understand that it's problematic. Yeah. I wish it was. It's one of those games that I wish someone would reprint with a different theme, like a sci-fi theme. Like, and I just was thinking about it right now. It's like it would be nice if like Rio Grande re-released Puerto Rico with a different theme that could like address problems in a way like your workers are robots or something, something that would help, because I think that would, fix a lot of it. It's funny how like theming for a game could fix a lot of the problematic elements, and Puerto Rico is one where I think a retheme really could serve it justice.
Yeah,
and then a lot more people would probably feel more comfortable playing it again. Not even change any of the mechanics, just give it a retheme.
Sure.
Yeah.
If anybody from Rio Grande is listening.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. They tune in every Monday at 9:00.
Yeah, I was gonna say we have a pretty big audience.
Yeah.
You never know.
No, that's true. You never know. You never know. One of the people watching might be from Rio.
Hey, like we said, we're trying to get spammers. It's a good thing. That means we're huge now. So
yeah, I've got 4. I think Chris only gets 3. I've gotten 4.
So that was an honorable mention with Ares expansion, and then Race for the Galaxy.
That's a good one. Terraforming Mars was on the episode last time, where it was one of those games I never want to play again. Just because of what you mentioned, right? There's so much to it that when you're playing it with someone that knows what's in it, you're going to get housed every time.
Yeah.
And unless you play it as much as them or are playing with people that are on your level, then maybe you stand a chance. But there's so much that could happen. And if you're playing with someone that knows what could come or what's available, and it's okay. I'm curious about the Ares one. But
I liked it a lot more. I felt like it was a more condensed experience. It had the elements of Terraforming Mars that made it interesting. Like you did still have a planet and you were terraforming, and it took all the elements but condensed into a tighter gameplay. It's still, I think, was a bit much, again, in comparison to Race. Like it has the action selection like Race does, where like you can draw cards, or you can play a card, or you can activate your card or stuff like that. So it very much leaned on race, but it still has a big stack of cards, and I think everyone's unique, and it has a lot of the iconography, and there's a lot. If anybody thinks race is intimidating, I don't know how they ever play a game of Terraforming Mars. It's got so many icons that represent like Earth stuff and Jupiter stuff and Mars stuff and the different resources, and there's a lot there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the chat going.
I was going to say, Elena said that, they might be working on. So hopefully we'll keep our eyes open.
Hopefully it's a retheme too. And it's not just like taking the same game and slightly softening it. I think it could just use a full facelift refresh from a art theming perspective.
Yeah. I don't have, to Mike's point, I don't have a problem with playing people that know the game, but with a game, at least with my limited experience with Terraforming Mars, with a game like that, playing against people that know that game, you don't stand a chance until you play it enough to understand the theme or the connections you can make throughout that the stuff that could come your way. And know how to lateral. If you don't know the game, then you don't know when or how to change your strategy or move on to something else because something else isn't going to happen. And it's, to a point, just for me anyway, not fun. If it's a game where I'm getting housed, which happens often enough, I still feel like going back to it, right? I.e. Waterdeep or Star Realms. I'm okay losing to a game, but when it's something that benefits someone who knows, like Red Rising, not a great game, lots of cards, right? And there's that synergy between the different houses, but okay, if I lose, I lose. I know I had a horrible experience. I don't know if Bobby's watching, but he limited me in 2 turns down to 3 cards, and I could hardly do anything. But I still played it 6-7 times over the next week after bashing it multiple times. And I don't think I would, obviously you would benefit from knowing the connections between the characters and what could come up. But I don't feel like that's a detriment to playing the game as a new player to that game. Where Terraforming Mars, if I'm at a table with 4 people that have played, or 3 people or 2 people that have played that game extensively, and I've only played it once, it's not going to be a fun experience for me because I'm just going to get choked out of everything. And that's the difference between me wanting to play a game again and learning how to get better at it, and me just not having a good experience until you get to, and like Andrew said, there's so many games, right? Until I get to 500 plays of Terraforming Mars, am I really going to be that good at it? And I don't know.
Yeah. Well, what you mentioned also, I think race is a good point, is particularly because we're talking about sci-fi themed games. And I think it's interesting. I guess other than you mentioning Darkside Rising, we haven't listed any other IP games. They've all been, just sci-fi themed, but not from an IP. Well, you still have one more left, and I'm jumping ahead. But what you mentioned with Red Rising, I wonder how much knowledge of the IP benefits you in those games. I played Red Rising once, and it was fine. I enjoyed it, but I didn't know anything of the world, of the characters, the setting. So I'm looking at these cards and be like, this one is worth +20 if you have this one. And I guess because there's something in the books or something, I don't know. So for me, it didn't hook as much. And I think on one of the posts y'all made, someone was like, "Oh, Battlestar Galactica has to be on your list." I've never played Battlestar Galactica. I did watch all of the show and I enjoyed it, but I haven't played the game. But again, that's another thing. It's would that be high on people's list if they haven't watched the show and know who the characters are? Or is that something that would put you off? Again, with Red Rising, I'm mechanically it was fine, but I didn't really feel hooked because I didn't know why, Who's What's It was bonus with whatchamacallit.
Right, and you also don't know who to look for, right? If you're familiar with the story, maybe you know that the Who's What's It is looking for a certain character, and now you know to keep your eye out for that type of faction or that person or whomever. But compare that to Fantasy Realms, right? There's no IP there, and it still does the same exact thing where card combos are looking for other card combos, and it still does the same thing. I don't know if being a fan of Red Rising helps in that game.
I don't know. But like with Fantasy Realms, you probably could just grok up because, I don't know all the specific cards, but there's probably like, a king probably benefits from queen or vice versa. Or like knights, like, the horses. And, it's like that. It's all, again, designed into the mechanics in a way that makes it more grokkable. You're like, oh, I get it. The boat's good if you have the water elemental because boats are on water.
Right.
Yeah.
Story makes sense.
Sure.
Rising, I don't know the characters, so it's a layer deeper that I think affects your, appreciation of the game.
Have you ever played? There's a lot of stuff happening in the chat. I want to.
Some people had to step away.
A bunch of people left. That we've just been talking, but
because we're still waiting for your last one.
I'm sorry, I've just
no. I'm enjoying the conversation, actually. Have you played, I don't think Katia has, but have you played The Reckoners?
Mm-mm.
So it's based on an IP, which I know nothing of, but I love the game. It's a co-op. The theme of it is that all of what we know is like superheroes, they're all bad. They're all doing something bad in the city, and we are just normal humans doing research, trying to find their weakness so we can take them down. And you're going around the city doing this, rolling dice, using your dice as different actions. And I'm sure there's something about the locations, about the villains, about the main character, Steelheart, that you get from knowing the novel, but I know nothing of it. And I still think the game's fantastic. Not that that's my number one. I'm just saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much, obviously Star Wars, you throw Star Wars in there, I'm gonna gravitate to it no matter what, because you are familiar with the IP enough where it's like it makes sense when a character card comes up or there's a nod to something. Like I'm involved in that world, whereas the Reckoners I'm not, and I still enjoyed it. Red Rising, same thing. There's a world there that I'm sure there's those nods to the characters and the synergy between how the factions don't work or how this character is looking for that character, and I'm sure it makes the fan the experience more immersive for the fan of the stuff. But I don't know what it does for the game in that situation.
Mm-hmm. I think it can go either way. With like Red Rising, I was like, I think I appreciated it less because I didn't get it. But I think about a game like Star Wars Outer Rim, where I'm like, it's just a pick up and deliver game kind of at its core. And if it wasn't Star Wars, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much. And like, I like Outer Rim. I didn't love it. But it is fun just to have those bounty hunters and smugglers and like have that narrative, like, oh, you're Greedo and you're flying around on, Slave One and you're doing this. And, it's like, oh, you pick up this character and bring him back here because there's this bounty, you're trying to kill this guy, stuff like it could have easily just been generic, sci-fi pick up and deliver mission stuff. And I'd be like, I probably would never play it. But Star Wars, the characters, you get the narrative. So I think it helps. This is just not even for sci-fi games, but just, narrative themed games in general. If you know the IP, I think you're much more prone to enjoy it than if you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Or the theme, right? Like compare Imperial Assault to Descent.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Descent's not an IP. Star Wars Imperial Assault is same game basically, but you can really get also, and we've talked about this on the show too, you're creating the narrative in your head. Like when you're moving your character into one of the ones we just did, there was like a bar and it hopped the bar. Like you're creating that scene in your head, whether it's Legolas from Lord of the Rings or some random archer in Descent, you're still creating that narrative, whether you're attached to the IP or not. And I think they both work as a game, but you're right. Like Outer Rim, I never really felt like I was flying a Millennium Falcon. I was following a track to some planet, hoping I didn't get caught by the stormtroopers and maybe flipping a thing over. And that was my target. Like it didn't really scream IP, like Imperial Assault doesn't either, but you create that narrative in your head that makes you, especially if you're involved in the IP or about those characters, you can create that and have a better experience.
Yeah.
I'd step that. If you don't, are you having the same kind of experience?
Right. Like for Outer Rim, it made a so-so game good, for Imperial Assault, it maybe makes a good game better.
Right.
So
right.
It definitely feeds into it in that regard.
Sure.
So what's your number one?
All right. So before we get to my number one, Tabletop Express left. Thanks for stopping by. Helena left. Thanks for stopping by. Elena stopped by. I don't know what else is going on here. We talked about Fantasy Realms. I'm just trying to catch up because I left Mike's thing on there. We have a nod to the Reckoner books. Great. There you go. Mike's got something about Stonemeyer. Okay.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
This is for the Red Rising universe.
Oh, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That is Red Rising.
There you go.
And
All right,
Peter,
now you tell us. Oh.
did Chris even stop by? He wasn't here, was he?
No, I
Did
don't
miss
think
it?
he would have.
Oh, okay.
Nah, he's busy.
We did get a spammer through that I did not ban, so. Which is not letting me. Why is it not letting me? That's weird. All right, so my number one is Star Wars themed. I haven't found a game that represents what's going on in an IP, in a moment, in something that's so engaging, other than the Queen's Gambit. That game, everything, and we can bash episode 1 at a different time. Everything that's going on when you have the Duel of the Fates, when you have the Gungans fighting the droids, when you have Amidala going up to the room, all of the stuff that's happening in that movie, this board game, it creates that, and Anakin in space, right, blowing up the station, all of that stuff in this game is it captures it so well, with all those moving parts being not just on one board where like Gloomhaven has your characters and there's monsters, or Descent has your monsters and your characters, and we're all dealing with the same thing in the forest or in the castle or whatever. This thing has you in the palace, out in the fields, up in space, it does everything. So for a game that's older, I don't want to say old, it is old. It does everything. It makes you feel that so well, especially if you are familiar with the content. It's one of my favorites. I know I've talked about it before, and I said I usually don't like to talk about games I've talked about before, but when sci-fi comes in, I think of Star Wars and I think of Queen's Gambit, just because it's still that good.
Do you have a copy?
I do.
Wow, I've never played it.
I will
never
have to
played
play
it
it.
either.
I had it at the gathering. I actually brought it to the gathering.
Yeah, well,
Next
do that
time.
this year.
Next time.
I sure will. Yeah, it's great. It's so good. I didn't mention Dark Moon. We've talked about Dark Moon
Oh,
before.
I had that on my honorable mentions. Yeah.
Yep. Dark Moon is great. You don't have to be a fan of Battlestar Galactica to get the same experience. Dark Moon does it in a fraction of the time, with a lot of yelling and a lot of accusations running around the table. That one's also one that I should mention. Evan did a great job with it. I don't know. Did either of you play it at the gathering this year?
No, I didn't get a game in. Would have liked to, but
yeah, it's a great one. I still have Peter's thing up. All right, I'll take that off.
Do you have more honorable mentions?
No, that was it.
Okay, I have a few. I think Dune Imperium for me deserves to be mentioned because it was really good. Like, even if I felt like that was
No.
Not the same kind of game. Even if I felt like we had a bit of a runaway leader issue in the one game that we played, I would still play it anytime. Like I said, Tiny Epic Galaxies for me is always going to be really high on my list. I find it's one that it's one of the few, like you were saying, like the space games that you can basically teach really quickly and get started really quickly. Like the setup is fast and it's super portable, and the expansion that comes with it adds like planets that you can go to. Like it just adds another layer to it, and it's really, really good. The other game is Artemis Project by Grand Gamers Guild. That's a dice placement game. You're basically exploring this planet, which is like a frozen planet, and you're placing your dice getting resources, getting workers, training your workers to be able to fit into the buildings that you buy. And then like halfway through the game, or like 2/3 of the game in, then it's almost like you go and explore, I think, under the surface, and then things change a little bit. So the buildings become different, and now you're having to tweak your game a little bit more. So it's like, I just found that really, really clever. So that's another one that I felt needed to be mentioned. And then I've talked about Super Motherload lots on the show, but that's a great one. It's, I think, an underrated one, but it's super good.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I know it's a deck builder. I haven't played it.
It's not like a huge deck builder. Basically, you have a set of cards to acquire throughout the game, like your own faction that is sitting there waiting to be collected, basically. And as the game progresses, you will, fulfill this card. So now it becomes part of your deck, and then obviously all of those cards give you points at the end of the game. So that's why you're trying to, make your hand bigger. But those cards allow you to go and dig on the board and collect stuff and points. And so it's a really elegant game, I found. Yeah. So
nice. I think the only other sort of honorable mention I had, another deck builder, is Clank in Space. I like Clank. I like Clank in Space better. I think the theme is some of it. I think the theme is more fun in that version. And I think that there's some different elements to the board with like teleporters and conveyor belts and stuff. The idea that you're on a ship. It's like, I play both. I prefer in Space to regular.
It seems to be the common opinion from people who have played both. They prefer Clank in Space. And it's funny because Space game, I was like, well, I've already played Clank, the regular one. So, but I actually thought the theme came through quite nicely. Like I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that stumble card that you're stuck with from the beginning, where it's like you're tripping in the dungeon, like, I just thought that was so clever. And yeah, I don't know, like I very much felt like, ooh, I'm gonna go and get this weapon. Oh, it makes me do this, and I don't know, like I really, really enjoy the theme. So,
I enjoy regular Clank too. But we're talking about sci-fi games, and I think Clank in Space is particularly fun as well.
Yeah, I would like to try it eventually because I heard that it has a few things that on the board work a little bit better than the original. So
it has like these conveyor belts and stuff like that like can shoot you around. I think it has like teleporters and stuff like that. So it's a little, the board is a little bit different. So I did. Are we done talking about sci-fi? Because I wanted to mention something else. No,
because then we have the sci-fi trivia.
Oh, well, I just wanted to mention something. It's unrelated, but I just throw it in here because we're talking about deck builders and it's a Renegade game. It's not sci-fi-ish, but I just want to kind of throw this out there. I played The Hunger recently, which is a Renegade deck builder. Oh, there it is. Did you know I was going to talk about it?
No, I was going to talk about it, though.
It's really fun. It's a deck builder. It's got a map. You're going along. It's vampire, like you're vampires and you're collecting people and stuff. You actually had that ready to talk about?
No, I just recently got it over the weekend. But you were talking about Clank, and I was introduced to that. I think it seemed like it was Clank-ish, right? It's got that deck building thing. You got to get to the castle before sunrise, and you're hunting humans as vampires.
That's pretty cool.
I really enjoyed it. It's Richard Garfield. It's a Renegade game. It's deck building with a board, but it's different in a number of ways. If you like deck builders with a board element, if you like stuff like Clank,
so funny.
I recommend The Hunger. That's so funny. You had it right there.
Yeah, it seemed like it was really cool. Like the idea of it seemed really cool.
Yeah.
Trying to get to it.
I know it's not sci-fi, but
right.
No, that's okay. And then we're gonna get ready for the thing I prepared for.
Yeah, so we're doing that?
Yeah.
Cool.
You guys need a pen and paper. I guess I should keep track of score, but I don't have a pen. Oh, hold on.
I came prepared with some dry erase stuff.
Okay. Dry erase.
Okay, there we go. I will keep score. There are actually questions that will be worth more than 1 point. So.
Ooh.
What?
You got all fancy.
All right. Do we need to keep track of anything other than our answer for the specific questions?
Nope.
Okay. Dry erase it is.
Well, obviously, give people in the audience a chance to answer if they think they know it, but I will ask that you do not look at what's there until you have your thing written down. Especially you, Michael, who will be looking at the comments to post them. Wait until your answer's written.
Sure. Yep.
I'll look at where you're watching. I can see.
I will not. All the games I've won on this show I've been honest. I have not cheated.
Good.
Until tonight.
All right.
All right, we're ready to go.
All right. So, a sci-fi board game trivia made by yours truly. First question. Who published the game Dark Moon?
Well, that's unfortunate for one of us.
I'm going to move right here so I hide it because it's right behind me.
It's right here. I'm touching it. I've already written down my answer, but it's right. I'm touching it with my marker.
You gave me a hint.
Did I?
Unless I misinterpreted your hint.
No. I didn't give it a hint.
All right, well, I wrote down an answer, and then I'll explain what your maybe unintended hint was.
So Mike Vanderveen in the comments got it right. It's Stronghold.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did not know. You said Evan, and I was like, well, maybe it's a Van Ryder game.
Oh no, it's not.
Evan designed it.
Oh, well, that's why I assumed it was a Van Ryder game.
Yeah, no.
I have not played it, and so.
All right, question 2. What is the player count for Anachrony?
Oh my goodness. Like the range of like smallest to largest, or?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Come on, take a guess. I mean,
I am. I
know. I'm not just talking to you. I'm talking about the one who's going like, "Oh my gosh."
I wanted to get every question correct, and I've already screwed it up.
I want to get a question correct. Right now, I'm not sure about my chances.
All right. What are your guesses?
All right. I said 1 to 4.
Andrew is correct. It's 1 to 4.
Well
you
done.
said something about solo, so I was like, okay, it's at least 1.
Yeah.
So
good catch.
I'm paying attention.
All right.
And then I'm like, well, 4 seems like the high number.
And Mike is correct.
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica Express.
Yeah.
Oh,
I did see that in my research today.
Yeah, Dark Moon's great. With the right crowd, as most games are, it should be one of the more fun experiences you have.
What's fun?
Better than? Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
So I played the game with a group. Basically, we got invited to this like Saturday gaming day. I only knew at the time my husband and everybody else around the table. Like there was one guy who had invited us that I had met, I think, once before. Everybody else we didn't know. And then we learned the game like right there. Basically, the guy going through the rule book, they all had played Battlestar Galactica before. So he's going through the rule book quickly, whipping through the rules. And I'm still pretty new at the gaming scene because like I'm used to Dominion at this point and stuff like that. And I was so overwhelmed at the rules alone. Anyways, we started playing and then it kind of came like pretty quickly. It's one of those things where it's like after a couple of turns, you're like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing. Okay. And I was one of the infected people. And so when you're the infected person and you don't know how to play the game, you're like, I'm so going to mess this up. And really early on in the game, the guy who had invited us there, basically there was a time where it's like I could see his role or I could see like if he was infected or not. And then I looked at it and I was like, no, he's not infected. And he knew he wasn't infected. So from that point on, I think everybody trusted me because I said the truth about his situation. And so the whole game went on. Nobody knew I was infected. And it basically went down to like one of the last round. And the other person who was infected revealed that they were. And then at that point, I got stuck where it was like, well, now I have to reveal I am because I got to go for it. And, you know, it's like all or nothing, basically. So we barely lost, but it was like a nail biter kind of game where we almost did it. And when people found out I was infected, they were like, what? So like, it was just such a cool moment of having to, and again, you're playing with people who don't know you. So it's like, yeah, I got to put like poker face on, and oh, it was so fun. So fun. Oh, oh, Matt. Oh, that's funny.
Oh yeah, I was like, I haven't talked to Matt about anything. Sorry, I don't have any work for you. My question was going to be, so not having played. I mean, understanding the conceit for BSG, and I guess basically Dark Moon. Is it like the Resistance, basically, a little bit more?
Like you mean like your role as
like the gameplay?
Have I played the Resistance?
No, there's way more. There's a board and dice you're rolling, and you got to contribute dice to the mission. Same kind of.
Okay.
You want to hide who you are?
Sure.
Like that kind of concept. No, you want like you're contributing, but you're not being brought along to contribute. You just have dice to contribute.
So like you have a screen, and so you're always rolling your dice behind your screen, and you have to obviously, truthfully, you have to select which dice you're going to contribute. So you might have positive numbers, negative numbers. Maybe they're all positive, which means you're going to be stuck having to contribute. Maybe you're contributing a negative dice and you're the infected one, or you're going, well, you know what, I want to hide that, so I'm going to contribute something positive, but not too positive.
Okay.
To kind of hide that so like you're having to, and then sometimes, you're going to put a dice that's negative, and then people start looking at you like, that's all you had behind that shield, isn't it? Like, so I think it's super fun. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You're having to bluff about like, no, guys, I seriously had a crappy dice roll. Like, that's just. So,
sure you did. You did. Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's a good one. We'll play it. We'll play it in a couple months.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, that would be cool.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Next question. We're on to number 3. What is the listed playtime for Twilight Imperium 4th edition? Give me the hours.
Listed.
So I will say it's 1 point if you get the max hours correct. It's 2 points if you get the full range correct.
Okay. So it's a range in hours.
It's a range in hours. So if you get the full range proper, then you get 2 points. If you only get the max, then you'll just get 1 point.
I was ready to do minutes. Now I
No, don't. Do it in hours.
I wonder if that's the only game where it lists the playtime in hours.
Right?
No, it's actually, I think it's in minutes, but for the math, like for the sake of it.
Okay.
On the box, it's in minutes?
I think so. I mean, you can give me either. I know which numbers it was, so.
You can do that math?
I can. I remember looking it up, so.
All right.
So I have minutes or hours. I can tell you if you're right or not.
Okay.
All right. What do you got? 3 to 4 hours or 3 to 6?
I put 280 minutes because that's the first thing that stuck to my head was the max playtime was 280 minutes, but that's not.
No,
it's an hour.
480 is the max. So the range is actually 4 to 8 hours on the box.
4 to 8. Okay.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Matt. Well done, Matt. A little reference.
He went over though. That you would have lost according to like Price is Right rules.
That's good.
Without going over, yeah.
All right, so no points awarded on this one.
That was a good one.
Okay. I've never played it. Another one I've never played.
Me neither. Question number 4. In the new Galaxy Trucker, what colors are your little space dudes?
Okay. Ready?
All right, what do you have?
I said blue.
No, they are white.
Ah.
Good try.
Initially, I wanted to do orange, but then I was like, wait, Chris isn't here, so it wouldn't be a question about orange meatballs.
Oh my gosh, Matt. Matt says, I don't see color, Katia. Yeah.
At least no one gave the argument white's not color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Question number 5. In what year was Alien Frontiers published?
Oh my god.
What the fuck? No, it's not that old. I'm helping you. I don't know why I'm helping you. I remember playing it when it first came out. Now I'm trying to remember what year that was, and I think it was the year it came out.
It's sitting right over there. No, it can't be that. It's got to be older than that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What do you have? Oh, we got some close answers in the chat there.
This is what I was going to go with.
No.
That's what I went with.
No. It's 2010.
10?
Yeah,
Wow.
2010.
Crap.
All right.
I think I put when I played it.
That's possible. But
I thought it
Mike
was new when I played it.
2011. Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Question 6. In Tiny Epic Galaxies, what are the 2 resources that you use, which you keep track on your player board in that like circular track? There are 2 resources there that you move up and down. What are they?
This is the multiple choice question, right?
No, it's only 2 things. Like, come on.
Some of us have never played it, so
Oh,
at least it's sci-fi themed, so we can.
I feel like you should have prepared better for this week.
I was preparing by coming up with a list. I have guesses. I mean, at least it's sci-fi themed, so you know.
Yeah.
And 1 point for each correct answer, so we could get 2, right?
Sure, I'm willing to do that. 1 point per answer. So if you get both, you get 2. Let's do
I
that.
just want to try and get 1.
All right, what do you have?
Do we get a half a point if our answer has the letters of? Okay.
Oxygen and titanium. No. Well, you were close because the one is culture. So
Oh.
that's fun and happiness. Yeah. But it was culture and energy.
Oh.
All right. This one is a multiple choice, I guess. Is when you went.
Is that the question?
Yeah.
My answer is yes.
I didn't go A, B, or C, so I'm like, I guess it still counts as a multiple choice. Okay, so in this one, in the board game Planet, what are you trying to accomplish when you create your planet? A, you have the highest level of oxygen possible. B, attract the most wildlife. C, make your planet most suitable for human life. So what are you trying to do when you play Planet? All right. Do we have an answer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What is it? It is B. You both have it.
Yes.
That doesn't put you ahead because you both had it.
But it doesn't put us behind.
No.
And it still feels good to get a right answer.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there you go.
I really like the game Planet, by the way.
I
Yeah,
haven't
Planet's
played
good.
it, but when I was doing the trivia and I saw what it was about, I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I've only ever seen pictures of it like done because it's magnetic, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's
Well-
really clever.
Never played it.
It's really, yeah. It's just in its essence, it's just a drafting game.
Mhm.
but it's really clever in the way that you draft and kind of build your thing. I think some people found it a little intimidating because you're constantly like moving this object, this, I guess, what's a dodecahedron that's got 12 sides around and like figuring out where to put the things. But it's tactily, it's very satisfying to put the little, I think they're like biomes on the planet and connect them. And, you know, it gets a little like county when you're like, okay, how many deserts do I have? Well, you have to like rotate and you're counting stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
But like, the toy factory, like the kinetic factor of it is pretty fun. It's got some fun novelty.
That's cool.
Yep.
All right. And we're on to question number 8. In what year was Battlestar Galactica, the board game, published? Yes.
Are we talking about the Fantasy Flight one? Because there's an older one.
Talking about...
Not like some old school one from the 70s.
No, not that one. Because I did see that there's like, that's called Battlestar Galactica. I'm talking about Battlestar Galactica, the board game.
Okay, so like...
Dark Moon, like
Lance Meister's favorite game ever.
Sure.
Okay. The one we all know, not the one based off of
not the one from 70s. The 70s. No.
The old. Okay. I'm trying to get points here, Andrew.
Fair.
Yes, because
I don't think it's going to help you.
Not gonna help.
Any more that's going to help me.
No. It's not gonna help. Like if I could, they're right here.
Yeah.
They're these.
Eyes on your piece of paper.
Like I could see the date. It's on the. There's no way. Oh, here. Wait. My first.
I love how you're both doing the same thing. Looking like both of you. That was great.
All right, I wrote something down.
All right, what do you have?
2011?
No, Mike is actually closer. Oh, 2000. Yeah, see, I heard you say something about 2008, and that's what you should have written because it was 2008.
That was Arkham. That's why I said 2000, and I shouldn't have said it out loud. Apparently, my external filter is broken. But I'm thinking Fantasy Flight Arkham was 2008. All right, so that can't be the same year. I didn't know when it aired on Sci-Fi, so I was like, all right, I'll go with 9.
No.
But yeah, like I feel like it came out a little bit after the show had kind of gained some popularity, so it wouldn't have been as soon as it originally aired. But maybe it was.
Yeah.
What was the first season?
I went off of BGG, so if it's wrong, that's on
I'm sure it's correct.
Yeah, I'm sure it's right.
All right. So this one's a gimme because you talked about it during your during your list. New Frontier is a game based in what other games universe?
Oh.
So this is where I should have paid attention to what you guys were talking about?
Yes.
I'm not going to say anything.
All right. What are your answers? Yes, Race for the Galaxy. So you both get the point.
Come on, you are being coy there. You knew.
Of course, I was listening.
All right. Okay, so question number 10. What type or category of game is Search for Planet X?
Okay. You're going to be a little lenient on the definition?
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Yes. Correct. Deduction. Yes. Point for both. You need to start to not get the same answers right.
No, I'm totally happy. If Andrew and I tie, this is great. This is a win.
I have a tiebreaker.
Okay. How many questions do we have?
20.
Oh, okay. So we're halfway.
Yes.
And we're tied?
Correct. At 4 each.
Great.
Question 11. The color cards you play in the crew range from numbers 1 to what? So what is the max number on those cards, basically?
I almost had this as an honorable mention. I thought about it. It's
It's a
fun.
good game. All right, what are your answers? It was 9. Andrew taking the lead.
Crap.
The crowd goes wild.
All right, question 12. How many planets are showing on the Dune Imperium cover? Don't look around.
It's not here.
Oh. Yeah, on the box cover.
I really need to play that game.
That's good.
I've been a little more hesitant because, and you guys have talked about it a lot, I didn't really like Arnak that much.
Different.
Interesting.
Yeah. I get the sense that like they are different. People compare them a lot.
Show me your answers. The crowd is starting to get it there, so it's 3.
Oh,
Damn it.
going ahead. I figure it's got to be like Arrakis, like whatever Harkonnen planet is, and Atreides planet.
It's on the cover there is like a big planet in the background and there's 2 smaller ones.
Yeah, it's got to be like Arrakis, Harkonnen, and Atreides. But I don't know the names of their planets. I can't remember.
I don't know. But yeah,
I'm
no.
argue-
Sorry, even if you didn't love Arnak, you can still really enjoy Dune. Like to me, those are 2 completely different games.
I'm eager to play it. As someone who wanted to like Arnak and was like, I think you guys talked about it a little bit, and sometimes it's like sometimes your experience is colored by like the players and just the setting of it. And
Sure.
I think I didn't have the greatest experience with the play group I learned it with Arnak. So I didn't leave with the best taste in my mouth, but I also was like,
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. All right. Question 13.
I'm going to argue that one of those planets is actually a moon.
I don't really want to hear it
pick it up with Frank Herbert.
because this next one is probably a gimme for you.
Oh,
There
sweet.
I
you
hear
go.
it.
But I'm still losing.
What is the max player count for the game Asking for Troubles?
That is a give me for you.
With how quick he like put his pen away, he's like, I'm out.
I was like, I should have been like trying to follow your motion. All right, I put a number down.
I just
All right.
confirmed.
Well, Mike in the comment is doing really well tonight on his. It is 7.
Okay.
Michael catches up a little bit.
It's a really cool feature of that game too, that it goes to 7, because usually like a max player count is 6.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have 7 people, like you can split up 4 and 3 on different games, but this one actually lets you play 7 people.
Yeah. All right, question 14. Which game has a higher BGG rating? Is it Race for the Galaxy or Roll for the Galaxy?
What the hell?
No, they are 0.2 different from each other. So very similar, but which one has a higher ranking? It's a 50-50 chance.
It's true. I'm pretty sure I know the right answer.
All right, what do you have?
Wait, hold on. I got it. That's awful. Okay.
Right.
All right, what do you have? What the hell is that? Roll?
It's a dice.
Oh, you're both wrong. It is
It's raised?
Is it race? Wow.
Oh,
All right.
interesting. Because I know a lot of people who, they're like,
Yeah,
I
it
like
was it was higher by 0.2.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I thought for
I
sure
think it's
roll was
7.6 to 7.4, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure. This is almost 100% accurate.
Perfect.
All right. Question 15. How many choices of characters do you have in Star Wars Outer Rim?
What did you talk about?
Say the question again. Starting characters?
How many choices of characters? So when you play, there are characters you can choose from.
Mm-hmm.
The standees.
Mm-hmm.
For you as the character, not people that are out in the game.
Correct. Not the bounty, like not everybody you're going to fish out. No, the people you can play as. There's a choice of how many.
Base game, no expansion.
Whatever BGG showed me. I'm pretty sure it's base.
Not the what is the expansion called? Is this coming?
No, I'm pretty sure it was base.
I don't even know.
It's not even out yet, is it?
No, I thought it was.
The expansion?
Oh, maybe not.
They announced it a couple months ago. Anyway.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Your answers?
I'm hoping Mike is wrong on this one.
Mike is wrong on that one.
Yes.
So, Michael is correct. It's 8. And we are tied again.
Dang it.
Nice.
Nail biter. All right.
Oh. I almost did that. And then I was like, no, that seems like a lot. Can you name them?
No.
No, I cannot. I took a screenshot, I think, but yeah.
Oh. I bet we can come up with most of them.
Well, I know Han Solo was on there. Boba Fett was on there. Hendo? No.
I think Greedo is one.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
One of the other bounty hunters. I think Boss. Maybe.
Boss or IG.
I think because all their ships are in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Lando?
Oh yeah, because I think there's like an equal amount of like smugglers versus bounty hunters.
It's possible. I don't know. All right. Question 16. Which of the following, you have to pay attention to this. Which of the following is not one of Gaia's Project 6 areas of development? Okay. I'm going to list things. Which one is not one of the areas of development in Gaia Project? Okay. Terraforming, navigation, influence, Gaia forming, economy, and research.
Can you name them again, please?
Yep. Terraforming, navigation, influence, Gaia forming, economy, or research.
Gaia forming seems like it's a bait.
All right.
Do we have answers?
I have an answer.
I'm going to go with my original answer.
All right.
Okay.
What is it? Mike in the comment is wrong, by the way. No. No. The answer was influence. In the game, there's no influence, but there is artificial intelligence. That's what it should have been.
Okay.
I thought you were trying to trick us with terraforming and Gaia forming.
Yep.
I know. That's what made it tricky.
It tricked me.
Well done. Well done.
Thank you. This one, Andrew might actually know, but
Yes.
it's 1 point if you can name 2 out of 4.
Oh.
You'll get 2 points if you get all 4.
Oh.
Okay. What are the player colors in Clank in Space?
Oh.
Oh.
There are 4.
Okay.
Sure.
Ready?
Sure.
And Mike in the comment would have gotten just 1 point. Show me your colors a little bit. Green, purple,
Well,
blue,
that's not good.
yellow. You have blue and purple. And you also have the blue and purple. So you each get 1 point. The other colors were white and orange. Oh, wait, you have orange written on there. Show me again. You do have orange on there.
3.
Yeah, but I don't.
No, but I said, oh, didn't I say? Okay, so maybe I didn't say it right. On my phone, I shouldn't show you this. Hold on. On my phone, I actually said it's 2 points if you get 3 or 4 out of, do you see it?
Oh, that's fine. That's fine.
Right there. So Michael, you get 2 points, and Andrew, you get 1.
Uh-oh.
Wow.
Uh-oh. I don't like this.
So what color was it? I was missing white. It's
You are
orange,
missing
white, purple, and blue. Okay.
Yeah, it's blue, purple, white, and orange. All right. Question 18.
Oof, man.
It's okay. Because then Andrew might have a chance at this one. In Star Wars Dark Side Rising, what color card is Ahsoka on?
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Man, that's a good question. Damn it, that's a good one.
It is a good question. Oh my! I should know this off the top of my head, but so here's a funny aside. A lot of the characters, well, not a lot, but quite a few of them bounced around quite a bit between colors to balance out the faction, because it was easier to go these are all, I don't want to name the colors. I'm not giving anything away, but these are all X colors. And you're they can't all be that one. So some of them have to bleed over into this one. And where did it make sense? It was the same thing with Thanos Rising, where I'll talk. Hey, we'll put out the answers, then I'll talk about it a little bit. I think it's interesting. I want to talk about it. I should write an answer. It's one of, I know it's one of 2.
It can't be that. It can't be that.
Oh, I'm not trying to close my eyes and picture it.
I hate that I just changed my answer, but
Okay. It's 50-50.
wait.
This is the most contentious one of all of them.
I'm going with my first answer because I think it's right.
All right, what do you have? No, you're both wrong. It's blue.
It is?
It's blue.
What?
Yeah.
Who designed that game?
Right?
Blue. That's hilarious. We both got it wrong.
I changed it to blue, and I was like, no, wait a minute. I can see her on a purple card.
I was I know it's not red.
Right.
And I was purple and green, blue. That must have been one of the ones where characters needed to move to certain things to balance things out, because there was a lot of it was tricky to balance between having enough characters with the right amount of damage for each faction, and wanting the Jedi characters to tend to be a little bit stronger, and more easily lumping them into one side or the other. And so some of them were concessions, was well, because I think blue is intelligence, or I can't remember. I believe you.
Hold on.
Yes.
Yeah, I see it. It's blue.
No, go back.
Yeah, it's down there at the bottom.
Yeah.
Blue. Damn it. I thought it was green. I was pretty sure it wasn't purple. I knew it wasn't red. But yeah, it all kind of started with Thanos Rising, because it was easy to put red was sort of the kind of combat-y guys like Captain America and Falcon and Winter Soldier and stuff like that, and blue was the tech guy, so it was Black Panther and Iron Man and War Machine and stuff. And then purple was the Guardian stuff, the space stuff. So it was like all the Guardians. Then green was Mystic, but like, there's not a lot of Mystic characters.
Right.
It was like Doctor Strange and Wong. And then so like Thor ended up being Mystic because he's kind of magic, but kind of technology. And like with Star Wars, it ended up the same way. It was like red was like Han Solo and Luke. Like there's a lot of the like Episode 4 characters are just like the kind of like fighty guys, Chewbacca, Han Solo, not Force attuned characters. And then I think green was a lot of the Rebels characters. They were more like clandestine, kind of roguey and stuff like that. And blue was sort of like the leader characters. Like Princess Leia was a blue. I think Radis is a blue. More of like the generals, the leaders. I guess Ahsoka landed in there because she was a general from Clone Wars.
Well, I mean, she led a lot of missions.
Like I'm trying to remember the rationale for how she ended up there. I think it was one of those. I needed another blue character that would have a lot of hit points and synergize with certain things. There's a lot. I remember there's like a lot. I had like this spreadsheet with like these lists and like constantly shuffling things around to make sure there was even number and everything made sense within each of the colors in a variety of ways. It was a weird puzzle.
That's fun.
That's neat.
That's cool.
Yeah. But we both got it wrong. That's embarrassing. Oh,
you got it wrong. All right.
Good thing this is sci-fi and not anything to do with Batman.
I hang my head in shame.
I just realized that the sudden death question is actually, one of you might get it and the other one not. But anyways,
Well,
I'll
if we
going.
get to there.
Question 19, and I almost said it earlier and I caught myself and I didn't. But what is the Tiny Epic Galaxies expansion called?
Oh, man. I almost asked you about, have you played with the expansion?
Yeah, and I talked about it, but I almost said it, and I stopped myself because I remembered that it's on my trivia. That's the problem with doing the trivia second.
Sure.
This happened last time as well. There were a couple answers, and it also happened at QCon. That was funny.
That was great. Yeah.
All right. What are your answers? It's Beyond the Black.
It's funny that we had similar answers.
Colonies, yeah. Well done.
All
Do
right,
we get points for matching each other?
No. Question 20. And at this point, Michael is up by 1 point.
I gotta give this.
Andrew, you got to get this.
I know.
Because
No
if
pressure.
you get this, you're probably going to get the sudden death question.
Oh, great.
I don't know. I failed.
I did not know, but, it just so happened. Okay.
Sure you did.
So you've both played this, and I'm sure you've seen the cover. How many astronauts are on the cover of Terraforming Mars?
Oh, God, I hate that game.
So you should be able to see it in your mind.
No, I want to erase everything about that game from my head.
You really don't like Terraforming Mars. Like
There's nothing about it that would have brought me back to the table.
It was long, very long.
Unless I was playing it with people that haven't played it before, right? So I feel kind of even. But even the way that the game played, it was okay.
yeah, it's not one of those games that where I would be like, if people sat down and said, "This is what we're gonna play," I'm like, "No, I'm opting out." But it wouldn't be my first choice.
Right. I would
Yeah,
probably play it again if it was with like I said, the right people that were playing it. If they were experienced players that have played it a lot and it's like their number one game, I'm out.
Yeah, makes sense.
How many astronauts are on the cover?
Mm-hmm.
I just dropped my cap. All right.
This is like the cartographer's question.
Yeah, the quill.
I'll never forget that now.
Mm-hmm. Do we have an answer?
Oh, that's right. The color of the quill. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
I have an answer.
Show me what you got. You are both correct. And
I mean, yay, but boo!
Wow.
So Michael wins by 1 point
1 point.
with a score of 9-8.
Oh, God.
Not bad. Not bad.
No, not hard. 45%. That ain't bad.
I'm going to give you the tiebreaker question just to see, just for fun.
Okay.
Should I make it like a 2-point question?
No, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
No, game's over. This is for fun. This is extra innings.
What year did the Starfarers of Catan come out?
Come on. There's no way that was on your...
It's
1999. Now we don't have to answer it.
I call bullshit on this
Yeah,
one. There's no
it
way
was
that
that.
game is on your list.
that was my sudden death question. Yeah.
I don't think I would have gotten it right. Like I knew it was old, but I don't know if I was.
Yeah, I was surprised at how like I'm always amazed at how all of the Catan are just like they're so old.
And when did Settlers come out? Like 95, 96? A couple years before that.
Yeah, it has to be around there, mid-90s.
I feel like some of them. Hold on.
Right. There's an easy way to find out who's
Yeah.
going to GG.
95. The Catan card game was 96. Yeah, like a lot of them. Seafarers 97. Yeah, and then that one was 99. I was like, get out. That's like 23 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Still selling.
Well, I mean, it was out of print for a long time until last year, I think.
But when I looked it up, it looked really cool. Like it had this big spaceship thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like the gameplay looks very different from the description of it. Like it sounds like you're...
It is, but it isn't.
Oh, okay.
Like you're not the coolest thing is that you're not rolling. Yeah, I haven't played it in a while, but you're not rolling dice. There's like dice in your ship, and you literally like shake your ship and then put it down, and the dice cut like kind of like a dice tower come out the bottom, and that determines the thing. Like the dice mechanic of it, I think is pretty much the same. Where you like settle planets, and then if your numbers come up, you collect resources from the planets. Use those resources to build stuff onto your ship. Which gives you the ability to like navigate further out and settle more planets, or I think house more people. Like you can build more like, I guess like biospheres on your planet and stuff like that. I don't remember all the theming of it, but it's pretty cool. It's like you've got this like colony ship that you're building and going out to these planets to settle it, get the resources. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it, and you get this cool spaceship. Everybody has one. And you actually put things on it to build it out and do more stuff.
Yeah,
so
it looked really cool. From what I saw. Yeah. Yeah, and the board obviously looks very different just because you're in space compared to a traditional.
Well, that's one of the other, I think, it can kind of come up as a sort of honorable mention, but I think the Star Trek version of Catan is quite fun too. Like it's mostly basically Catan, but you've got the characters and just like they change the resources. Yet again, if someone said, do you want to play Catan? I'd be like, I'd rather play Star Trek. Like it's basically the same game, but the theme is more interesting. Instead of a Robert, it's Klingons, and instead of clay, it's dilithium and tritanium, and I don't know. It's just I think it's more fun.
I almost picked that one for the last question, and then I saw the Starfarers one, and that's the one I ended up putting in my. And so when you mentioned it earlier, I'm like, get out of here.
It's good. It's
okay,
fun.
Michael, you won the game, so.
That's okay. I lost to Chris too. I think I was winning, and then I lost at the end. Came from behind also, so I'm 0 for 2.
Ooh.
And I think it was by like 1 point both times. So.
Oh man.
Sorry for that.
I'm so embarrassed. I missed a question for a game that I designed. That is shameful.
It's graphic design though, right? Like You designed the mechanisms, you designed the characters, and graphic design took it and said, no, Ahsoka should be blue.
No, I
not
didn't.
from what you just said.
No, that was my choice.
I was trying to help you out there.
I appreciate that, but I will freely admit that I forgot.
But it makes sense why you couldn't remember. If it has gone back and forth so many times, then yeah,
I definitely remember it was one of the ones that changed. There were some that were like, okay, like I think there's 8 or 9 cards for each color, maybe even 10. And like some of them were set very early on. Like okay, Han and Chewie are going to be red, and Princess Leia is going to be blue, and like some were just very much locked in, and then some were more fluid because you just kind of like the way I designed it. Sort of my gut was like, okay, where do I think these characters fit? Are they like fighty guys, or tactical guys, or espionage guys, or diplomat guys? And then I kind of put them into buckets, and then you're like, oh, there's a lot of fighty guys, which is, probably true most any game. You're like, yeah, what are these characters? What's their predominant trait? They fight.
Right.
And then you're like, well, they fight and also they do something else. So how can I justify them in something different?
Right.
Yeah.
Again, same thing with Thor. It's like, well, Asgard is kind of outer spacey, but it's also kind of mystical. So, all right. Thor becomes a green mystical character instead of a
right
purple spacey one. Although now he's like part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, so
sure.
What do you're rolling your eyes? You don't like that?
We'll see, right? I don't know if where we leave off and where we're gonna find him, I think are gonna be different. But
no, we'll find out this year. What?
Yeah.
Love and Thunder comes out in July,
I think, yeah, unless it gets pushed. But yeah,
I don't think it will.
I hope not.
Feel like, I mean, at this point, I have to assume that most of the principal photography is done, and they're just doing effects and stuff like that.
Hope so.
I don't know.
Well,
so
why don't we?
Boba Fett?
Yeah, let's do it.
Boba Fett.
Right. So, for those that are watching this and are unfamiliar, that banner at the bottom, this is Book of Boba spoilers. Will be running as we talk about the original bounty hunter, Mandalorian bounty hunter. Although we find out some interesting stuff in this episode. So while that's up, we're talking about episode 1, which aired Wednesday. And then when we're done talking about that will go away. So if you don't want anything spoiled, move along. If you don't care, then keep listening. So what do we think?
It was good. Yeah. I wish it was longer. Just because it feels like I didn't learn that much in a way. Like I wanted more.
Sure.
I think we're gonna get the the flashback stuff from the Back to Tank, interspersed within most of the episodes till it leads up to like how he got to where he was. Although it doesn't feel like he has that much progression to do from where we saw him first appear in Mandalorian, where he was all decked out in Tusken garb and like had gaffy sticks and stuff like that. It's like it feels like he's already kind of proven himself to that clan, and so but I guess he has to recover his ship and all that. So I liked it. My one sort of, I don't know if it's a negative takeaway, it was pretty campy.
Sure.
Like I felt like it was a little bit, I don't like hokey, campy, like it didn't, like, when maybe in a good way, it didn't take itself too seriously at parts.
Right. Yeah, I was waiting for somebody to get dropped into the Rancor pit, which didn't happen, sadly. I thought that would have been nice. There were a lot of, for me, I loved the flashback, making it canon now, how he got out of the Sarlacc pit, what happened to his armor. There was definitely some stuff. I actually talked to Chris about it in one of our Discord chats about the bandits. I don't know what to call them, but the ones that were like graffiti on the moisture farm. Mm-hmm. I thought that was like new residents of Beru and Owen's place. But when you look up like where Rey ends up at the end, which is Luke's original. Like it's a different hut. So I thought that was a nice nod, but it wasn't. So I was looking into it for those kind of things because you figure episode 1 is going to be a lot of fan service, which there was. I'm a little bit in the camp with Katia. I wanted a little bit more, but I thought it gave us what the first episode should have. It gave us a lot of interesting stuff to build off of.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. It's funny because I watched it and then rewatched it and realized, okay, and now I understand why they're beaten. Like the teenagers are basically beating him for nothing when he's tied up at the beginning.
Yeah.
And when I watched it the first time, I'm like, wow, the same people are really jerks. Like all along, it's like that's your opinion of them. They're just jerks.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I was like, wow, that seems gratuitous. Like, why? But then I realized that, yeah, it's because they're teenagers. They're young and they're trying to be tough. And yeah, so it was good to watch it again. Yeah, I mean, I just want more. Yeah.
Well, 2 more days and we'll get another episode.
Exactly.
I think it's interesting the stuff they're setting up with the mayor from Mos Espa, who I'm sure will be revealable at some point, because they had that scene in the throne room, which I really liked, where there was like, no, he wants you to give him tribute. Yeah. He's like, wait, what? No, he's supposed to give me tribute. Yeah. And then, I liked his the major domo, and he was like, oh, I'm so sorry for the misunderstandings. I can see how you would think that I was going to bring you something, but actually you're supposed to give me tribute. And they're like, our tribute is letting you return alive to the mayor. And he's like, well, expect another visit in the future.
Yeah. His delivery was good.
Yeah,
I like that.
There's a lot of answers that were fun. There's a lot of now new questions that hopefully will be raised there. Like the whole thing with the Gamorrean guards, or Gamorrean, however it's pronounced. That seemed a little weird. Like,
is that the ones with the shields?
No.
The green pig guy.
The green pigs.
Oh yeah. Okay.
They look like the
No, I know which one you're talking about.
It was like what they use for Angry Birds, like the bad guys in Angry Birds. Like that's all I thought of the first time I saw that green pig. That was kind of weird. I thought that could have been done a little bit different. Like they come in shackled and they're like, oh, you were loyal to your previous bosses. Now would you be loyal to me? Like, I don't know. Like that whole scene where they were getting beat up, if they had come to their aid, that would have been interesting. Like, it just seemed a little too But other than that, I liked everything else.
Yeah, I like the callback to the torture droid. It's 8D8, I think is his name. And he's suggesting how to torture the Gamorreans and stuff like that. And like, oh, that's that guy from Jabba's palace in Return of the Jedi.
Yep.
And fun fact for those of you who don't know, it was voiced by Matt Berry, who's one of the vampires in What We Do in the Shadows, the TV show, and some other stuff. He's a British actor. He's, I guess, relatively well known amongst like British comedy circles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or if you've watched What We Do in the Shadows.
So good. I've never seen the movie, but the TV show.
Really?
Yeah, I hadn't seen the movie. I was introduced to the TV show first, so I'm working my way through that.
Oh, you should watch the movie too.
I've heard it's great.
It's just as good. The show is phenomenal. It's so good.
Yeah, it's really good.
I have
Laszlo.
Yeah, as I was like, what was his name? Laszlo is the voice of 8D8.
My favorite in What We Do in the Shadows is the energy vampire. He's so good.
Colin Robinson.
Oh my god! And we all have one in our group that's the energy vampire. You can relate to the person that just sucks the life out of everything you do. It's really funny.
Have you watched it, Katia?
No.
It's very good. I highly recommend it. I think it's on Hulu.
Hulu, I think. Yeah.
I don't have
if
that.
It's not on Netflix. It might be on Netflix.
It's on Hulu because it's FX.
Try and watch episode 1 if you get a chance. You'll get a sense of what's going on. And the comedy that's behind it. It's really funny.
It's the director of the movie, who I guess is one of the producers of the show, is Taika Waititi.
Oh, neat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, who directed Thor Ragnarok, and I mean he's Korg and a bunch of other stuff. He directed one of the episodes of Mandalorian, I think the first season.
Yep.
As well.
He's doing
he's doing a Star Wars thing too.
He is, and what's the oh my god, I just had it and I just lost it. I forgot what it was. Not Marvel.
No, Marvel does Thor. He's done Thor Ragnarok and Thor Love and Thunder.
No, I had it and I lost it. But yeah, he's pretty great.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he directed the movie and he shows up in the show a couple times. It's him and, do you know Flight of the Conchords?
Yes.
Yep.
It's like Jermaine Clement is the other like showrunner, producer for What We Do in the Shadows. It's the same like New Zealand crew.
Okay.
Blade. Isn't he doing Blade?
I don't think so.
He's not Blade, but he's directing or doing something with the new Blade.
I don't think so. I
thought
thought
he was.
Thor ones.
I'll look it up.
What else did I like about Boba Fett? Something else stood out. I mean, I think it was interesting that like he's not fully healed yet, and like when they were fighting, he's like, "Oh, take me back to the Bacta tank." So so it's I like the idea that they're saying, this character isn't sort of at full strength yet. He's still got some progression to do on his journey.
Right.
That whole him being injured after that fight and having to go directly to the Bacta tank was kind of weird.
I think it was important to establish that he's not the Boba Fett that you expect him to be, and he's not, at 100% yet. I think it's all just part of his narrative and his redemptive arc. It's to show, it's like, again, it's all the story of the hero's journey, and beat him down to his weakest point, and then show him building back up and redeeming himself from there. So again, I mean, it's Star Wars. It's all Star Wars. We're telling the same story. Joseph Campbell and the hero's journey over and over again. But it's cool to see it with a character like this, who gets to turn from, in theory, more villain to hero.
Yeah. Yeah, more than just an added CGI scene with Jabba the Hutt and Han stepping on his tail, right? To get more about who Boba is.
Mm-hmm.
My one complaint, I guess, would be I struggle with the delivery of her humor, like his sidekick, or I forget her name.
Fennec.
Yeah.
Right,
like when she said something about like they got their helmets back, and she's like, "Oh, your helmet's shinier than mine." And it's like that was so cheesy.
Well, that's what I was talking about with some of the the campiness of it, some of the delivery, some of the dialogue.
Yes, I definitely agree. And I don't know if it was her delivery or the line, but I feel like it just it was cheesy.
I think some of it is just the cheesiness of it, but I'm okay with that, because I think I was talking about this with a couple of people. We often forget that Star Wars sort of has its foundations in
had some
very pulp,
for sure.
Pulp sort of, Western kind of storytelling that talks in very broad strokes and isn't necessarily as nuanced. So it sometimes the delivery comes across as a little bit more cheesy, and it not meant as a knock to the actress, but I think Ming-Na is not really great at comedy delivery anyway. She's a good serious actress. She was in
amazing. Shield.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I loved her
great
character.
In Shield,
yeah, right.
Agent May, I think it was.
Yeah.
She,
awesome.
Her comedy delivery is she's a serious character generally. So
Yeah.
Those throwaway kind of jokey lines. You're like, really? It doesn't feel.
Yeah.
I don't think it's inauthentic to the character. I just think the actress. I don't think she delivers that stuff very well.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if she like, eventually kind of falls into it, like, finds a better rhythm or stuff. Like, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she's only been in what 3 or 4 episodes. Like we've only seen her like a tiny bit. Anyway, she was in what 1 episode of the first season of Mandalorian. Well, maybe 2 in the second season.
Yeah, right at the end, right?
Yeah, and then they had her in a couple episodes of The Bad Batch. Oh, spoiler alert.
Well, that's cool. That's cool that she's got more. I like her I have 2 questions about Boba. One is about her. There was a scene with the Tusken Raiders that seemed to jump off as one of them being her. And maybe I'm reading into it too much, but I'm curious to see if that jumped out to you guys. Like, where has she come from? And do you think that she could be, because obviously he's now okay with the Tuskens, right? He was handed the water, so that was kind of like, all right, we're sorry for letting our teenagers kick your ass while you were tied up. But now at some point he's going to leave that crew, and do you think that's where they meet each other, like in that camp, and then she goes along with him? Because there was one back and forth. It was a present day scene of them two, and then a flashback to the Tusken Raider camp, and it just seemed a little too weird that it was like I read it as if it was her, or it could be her.
No, he saves her in the first season of Mandalorian,
where she got cut or shot or something.
Where she got shot by the other guy. Like,
that would be
like
after.
That would have been after like Boba Fett did all the Tusken stuff. So I don't think they don't interact until he saves her, and that's why she's so loyal to him, because she was like gut shot.
Yeah, she was dying. Yeah.
And at the end of that episode in season 1 of The Mandalorian, you see him show up, like you see his boot, and you're like, who is this? And I think we had a good supposition it was Boba Fett, or people were like, oh, this mysterious character shows up. But yeah, I think she has this, I mean, not a Wookiee life debt, but like owes him a debt because he saved her life in the desert when she was gut shot and dying. And I think that's the first time they met.
So that's when they first meet each other, is then.
Yeah, in the Mandalorian.
I think so too. When you mentioned his boots, I don't know if you watched, it's on Netflix. It's I forget what it's called, but it's basically like it's about Boba and how many actors have played him. And it talks about how, like, when he comes in The Mandalorian, and that scene that you were just talking about with the boots, and how they basically made a point to have like that Western sound of like they made sure that was in there because it just fit his style. So anyways, it's like really interesting show to watch.
Yeah, I think it's on Disney Plus. It's like Under the Helmet.
Under the Helmet.
Yeah. Under the Helmet. That's it. Yep.
Yeah, they Foley in this sound effect that's like the spur metal, like sound when his like foot comes down.
Yeah.
To like the old, like I said, the old Wild West, like the gunslinger putting his foot down and the spurs, the metal clanging.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, that was a good thing to watch before coming into the show. So I wanted to say that.
My other question is about the format and the style of Boba. How do you both feel about it using the same style and format that The Mandalorian has? The ending with the music's the same, the style. Do you think it needed to be different for this series because The Mandalorian is The Mandalorian? Or do you think it was okay to regurgitate what worked for The Mandalorian in this series? And do you think that even follows or is pushed forward to the Ahsoka series? Do you think these are all going to have that same kind of feel?
I would want more from the Ahsoka series. Like I would want something different for her. Maybe just because like in this one, there's a lot of flashback that are not that they're not to trivialize the flashback, because obviously it's like it's important to know where he's come from, but yeah, like the fact that he's tied up at a post and he's being kept captive and stuff like that, like it's this stuff has to be kept relatively short for people's attention to remain there. So like the back and forth I think is okay. Ahsoka, I would want just like a progressive, like you start us somewhere and then just go for like move forward. Like I don't want this constant flashback with her, but that could just be me because I really like her. Like it's my favorite character, so it's like I want it to be perfect. But yeah.
I tend to agree. I think that there is like stylistic cohesion between Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, just because Boba Fett was reintroduced in Mandalorian. They're both set a lot on Tatooine. Like they tie together a lot in those ways that I think it makes sense. And I think some of it just comes from the influence of the showrunners. Like Jon Favreau is basically overseeing both of these shows. He wrote the episode, the first episode of Boba Fett, and Robert Rodriguez directed it. So like it's got a lot of consistency between the two. So I expect that they're going to be stylistically pretty close. I think to Katia's point, pretty hopeful that they bring in some different people for Ahsoka or any of the other shows that establish a little bit of a different style and tone. So I hope that it doesn't carry through, but I don't know. Like if it does, like the credit stuff with the concept art and stuff is kind of just cool to see. Mm-hmm. That never really bothers me. But I do think that it needs to establish a little bit of a different tone, especially for Ahsoka. I feel, but I don't know. Like, I don't know where the story's going to go. Is she?
Well, like, she's a completely different. I mean, okay, if you want to get technical, but like she's a different race or a different, she's from a different planet. Like I don't know, like, okay, they're both Mandalorians in a way. So it's like for them to have a similar style of show, sure. But I would expect hers to look different. I would want hers to look different.
Yeah. Like if she ends up on Tatooine, I'm going to be like, really?
Yeah.
Does everyone have to like, is that the only planet in the galaxy? It's a big galaxy. Yeah. Can we see some other planets and some other stuff? Like it would be cool to see her. I don't know, on Coruscant or just go in a different direction.
You haven't made it as a Star Wars story until you end up ordering a drink at the cantina. I think you have to all go.
I know, right?
Well, we didn't even talk about that, how Max Rebo ended up in, Mos Espa Cantina. So like he survived the destruction of Jabba's sail barge and stuff like that, right? Because he was on the sail barge I can't remember if the band was on the sail barge or if it was just in the palace. I don't know. But it was fun to see like Max Rebo. Like I watched some like recap videos and they're like, Max Rebo is still alive. Yep. Still playing this little keyboard thing.
Yeah, one of the modal nodes too. I don't know if they're gonna say that was like Figrin or whomever, but there was one of them. So yeah.
Yeah,
like I said, the fan service, right? The nods to some of the stuff that has existed is pretty neat too. I'm curious to see what they do with Ahsoka. I think Ahsoka, if it goes, it's going to be different. But I hope it's kind of shaping up to be like Rebels live action, right?
I hope so. Like I guess they haven't really shared like what the time frame of it is, what the setting exactly will be. I assume it's like post the end of Clone Wars.
Well, at the end of Rebels, Ezra and Thrawn are on that ship, and it goes out. So she and we meet her and the Mandalorian looking for Thrawn.
Right, and I think I did read something just this week that Thrawn is going to be in it quite a bit. Like a considerable presence in the Ahsoka series. So
and they cast Sabine.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they have an actress for Sabine. She's looking for. I mean, we meet her at the end of Mandalorian, we see her going after Thrawn, right? She's questioning where Thrawn is. So we know that's going to be part of a thing. And the last time we see Thrawn, he's taken by the space whales through hyperspace to some place we don't know. So, I mean, it hopefully it does have something different than this sandy planet with this Western feel. Then throw in Andor. Is Andor going to be like the green foresty type of dirty series? Like it's all so weird to think about what's coming at us, right?
Right. Well, and we haven't even talked about it. I think the next series after Boba Fett is actually Obi-Wan. Like that's the one that they've teased the most. Yeah, but that's going to be on Tatooine,
right?
I don't care. That one I don't care.
So, but like we're not getting off Tatooine anytime soon because the next series, if it's Obi-Wan, which I think it will be, will also be set on Tatooine. So we're, for better or for worse. But I'm excited for Obi-Wan quite a bit. I can't wait. McGregor's portrayal of Obi-Wan is really good, and I think that there's some fun stories to tell there. Have you all watched all of Rebels?
Yeah.
Okay. I still contend that like the Obi-Wan Darth Maul episode is like one of the best. It's some of the best like Star Wars content. Period. Yeah. In my opinion, that one episode is so good.
I paused it when it happened and sent a message to Chris questioning what the hell I just watched. And he's like, yeah, but think about it. I'm like, damn, that's good. Like, that was really good.
So good.
Yeah. Yeah, really I'm hopeful that Obi gives us a little bit more. Like, it's not just going to be him and the Tusken Raiders, right? Or him, like, babysitting Luke when he's out in the moisture. Like, there's going to be more to it. And I wonder if they're going to give us, like, is Boba, are they going to meet each other? Because obviously Obi knows how to deal with Tusken Raiders, and Boba Fett is having a sleepover at a Tusken Raider farm. So I wonder if they're going to if they're even going to meet each other. Like it's going to be fascinating. But again, that's another brown episode, right? Sandy episode Western. So
I'm just picturing Boba Fett and Tusken Raiders hanging out, like painting each other's nails and like telling ghost stories and falling asleep and putting their hand in warm water and stuff. That's all I can think of now.
Yeah.
Having sleepovers. But like maybe, like I hadn't really thought about this, but maybe the finale of Boba Fett will lead into Obi-Wan.
Well, it's way after that, right?
Huh? Yeah. The end of Boba Fett, like, whatever this, I think it's 7 episodes. So 6 more weeks from now, will end with some kind of like just like the end of Mandalorian season 2 kind of teased into Boba Fett. I wonder if the end of Boba Fett will tease into Obi-Wan because it's on Tatooine.
It can't though. I don't think the timelines match, right? Because we meet Boba Fett after.
They could mess with time weirdly just to make it. No, it works, right?
No, because we lose Obi. Major spoilers. We lose Obi in episode 4.
What?
Right? And then Darth Vader becomes Luke's father in episode 5. But the barge, Jabba's palace, that's all Return of the Jedi.
Oh, right. Yeah. That makes sense.
So the timeline wouldn't.
Yeah. Well, but maybe, I don't know, maybe they'll flash back to some other time when Boba Fett was on Tatooine and met Obi-Wan or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. All right. My head gets mixed up with Star Wars timelines sometimes. Yeah. Keeping track. Because of the way it came out, where it's like it started in the middle and you're like 4, 5, 6, and then we went backwards, and then we went forward, and now we're really going backwards again. Yeah. But now we're kind of going forwards again. Yeah. So because we had like Clone Wars and Rebels, but then we jumped ahead to the end for Mandalorian and Boba Fett. Yeah. But now we're going to jump backwards again for Obi-Wan, back to Rebels time frame. I don't know.
Yeah, and then Andor, right, is in between 3 and 4, or before 4, obviously.
Yeah. It's a good argument that I've seen a lot of people make for why they want to see Star Wars content that's just independent of all of this. So, like, you don't have to, don't tie it into anything established with, like, the Rebels and the Empire and the Skywalker Saga and stuff like that. So you don't have to worry about, like, who's going to show up, where's this set. Like, I kind of just want old High Republic stuff. It's like, it's so far in the past, it doesn't, like, none of the characters you know about matter, and they can just tell stories that are independent of, the Emperor and Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker and Obi-Wan. So
you'd have to go back more than 800 years, or else you still have to deal with Yoda.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, even if they just did movies, kind of like I'm thinking back when I was watching Clone Wars, and there are some episodes that had that feel where it's like it didn't necessarily tie in much to anything else. It was just, for 2 or 3 episodes, it focused on that one thing, that one mission or whatever. So it's like you could easily make a movie in sort of like that kind of style.
Mm-hmm.
But
it'll get there eventually. I think right now we're sort of at this weird like transitionary pivot point where there's still the desire to kind of play into nostalgia and familiar characters and settings, but as they start to flex more, they'll feel more comfortable branching out. And like they're doing it, I know, in their like literary arm, because it's all like old High Republic stuff now with like novelizations and comic books and stuff like that. They're not really leaning into current stuff. So I think we'll get there.
Yeah.
As long as they don't, I do appreciate the fan service. I like the little nods, like in Rogue One, where they're in, what is it, Jeddah, and we see the 2 characters from the bar at Tatooine that gets Obi cuts the one arms off. Is that Ponda and
Baba and Dr. Evazan?
Right. It's like we see them in Jeddah, like they cross paths, like those little things that the fans notice, right? Or like the connections that they can make to stuff that they already know in the universe. I hope they don't lose that. Even if they do go Old Republic, like some stuff that has been mentioned by Yoda or mentioned by the Jedi Order, or like I would love that. I love that they do that, as long as it's not too obvious and too cheesy. Then it starts getting like, okay. But yeah, all Star Wars all the time. Keep making this stuff.
I'm down for it. Yeah, we're living in a golden age. It's like, I think, again, we can look back growing up, and who would have thought that we would have Star Wars content this abundant, this plentiful, and then live in a world where we also get this like fully robust, actualized superhero universe that's super compelling too.
Yeah.
Like, between Marvel and Star Wars, what a wonderful time to be alive.
Oh, it's bonkers. Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot of TV, that's for sure. But hey, what else are we going to do in these days?
And movies and stuff. Have y'all seen Spider-Man yet?
No.
No.
Man, you got to go see it. Really good. I don't apologize. I get it. Like, it's going out to theaters is a little bit.
I don't even know what our situation looks like here. It's got to be at least 50% reduced, if not more. Like, I have no idea. I haven't been keeping up. Yeah, it's. I
think Eternals comes out on Disney Plus next week, at least. If you haven't seen that yet.
I saw something.
The difference between the two, though, is like, I don't think, and maybe I've just dodged one and not the other, but I don't think there's much spoiler content from the Eternals. But there's major spoiler content from Spider-Man, and trying to dodge that stuff has been hell. Absolute hell.
Yep.
Yeah.
Matt just said that our theaters are not open in Ontario, so there you go.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not open at all?
No.
Wow.
Yeah, we just Christmas was awful for numbers here in Quebec. Like it's been like horrendous for how many people. Like, it's one of those where, like, I feel like before I would only see people online on my Facebook that, it's like, oh, so-and-so caught COVID. And now it's like, it's direct people who either have it or they're close family members. So now it's like, it feels like everything's getting closer. And so in a way, I'm not surprised they closed the theaters, but you can't close everything down forever, like eventually.
Yeah, I mean, I canceled my trip up there or postponed it. I'll as soon as it's safer. But I mean, I guess in hindsight, as much as I was excited to go see people again, I'm I'm glad I did, and I've been hunkered down at home, safe. Didn't do anything for New Year's, nothing. It's not great right now. But
yeah, and like our playtest group on Tuesdays basically just took the decision of we're gonna shut things down until February. So just
we'll get through it.
Yeah, that's why we have such good TV. No theaters, no indoor night. Oh, great. My goodness.
I will say that Syracuse is beautiful this time of year. If you're in the area.
That's if I can make it across the border.
Very cold. Very snowy. Beautiful.
Just don't bring anything to sell and you'll be fine.
Exactly. But yeah.
Bonkers.
You have the same weather we're having now. We got
you probably
we got snowed in the last week.
It's been cold.
Yeah, Seattle got hit with major snow over Christmas, and only in the last day is it warmed up a little bit, and we had rain, and it's kind of gone now. But yeah, we were a winter wonderland for a good week.
All right, what's major snow to Seattle?
Like how many inches?
Yeah.
I don't know because it hit right before I was around for a lot of it. But I want to say at least a foot, which I'm sure is nothing. But
that's good.
It's a fair bit.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good.
I'm at the point that we get 4 inches. I'm like, we got to dump a snow. I'm 4 inches is enough. It's it's enough to make the roads slick but yeah.
Here, I was going to see if I can figure out the amount. I don't know if it's posted, but it was, I posted a bunch of pictures. If you're friends with me on Facebook, you could see.
Oh, you went hiking. Is that what
I did not go hiking. I took a walk around the neighborhood, but the neighborhood is fairly natural in certain areas. So we've got a creek running behind my complex and stuff like that. It looks more like hiking than it actually is.
You should have just said, you should have said you went up a mountain. Like you went.
I did some.
I snowshoed and cross-country skied and
Sure.
Yeah.
It's the difference between people wanting to come visit thinking, hey, there's going to be cool hiking to do. And now I'm like, oh, okay, he's just going for walks.
It looks
kidding.
more impressive than it is.
Oh, that's funny. But yeah. No, it looked nice though with the snow and everything. So
yeah, I can't see a total amount. I see Mike's question. I have not been to OrcaCon, and I've actually seen some ads for it through my Facebook feed the last couple of days. I think it's next weekend. I will not be attending this year.
I think Mike is out.
I'm kind of surprised.
I'm pretty sure Mike is out your way.
Oh, I've heard good things about it as a local game con, but I've only been here a couple years, and I assume it didn't happen last year.
I don't know why, but I feel like Peter was going to that. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it would be fun to go to a local con. If I saw a post that's Bellevue is, I'm in Kirkland, which is literally the town right up the road from Bellevue. So it's probably a 10-minute drive for me. But just with where things are at right now, I'm just highly skeptical of doing anything out in public. I know some friends who went to a comedy show over New Year's, and they're sick now and got tested, and they haven't gotten the results yet. But I'm like, you probably got COVID. So they're vaccinated and boosted, and they were masked and everything. I'm just like, everybody's if you go out now, masked, boosted, vaxxed, whatever, people are getting it. Like you said, Katia, I'm seeing it much more close to home, where it's not like, oh, I know a person, who's a friend of a friend who got it. I'm just seeing a lot of people. I think I saw, I don't know if you all know Scott Morris. I think he got it over Christmas. His family got it. So,
Yeah, it's
It's yeah. If anybody's out there listening, like Omicron's the real deal. Like, stay home, stay safe, just for a couple weeks. You know,
Game online with friends. We did some gaming
Board
online.
Game Arena has some wonderful games out there.
It's got Targi. We played Targi.
It's a great game.
It is.
Yeah, and then after that, I played. I played Patchwork 3 times with Peter, and we played something else too. There's
On
another
VGA.
game. Oh, Jaipur. Yep. So we
Great.
played Jaipur, and then we played Patchwork 3 times.
Nice.
Yeah.
Everybody stay safe, stay healthy out there. Play games online. I know it sucks, and we all want to see each other, but if we want to see each other, we gotta do this.
Sucks. But I find if you get on the phone, at least, like, you connect through either Discord, voice, or Messenger, you do voice, it doesn't feel as isolated and like artificial, I guess is the way that I would describe it. Like, I have a hard time. Like, I wouldn't do the Board Game Arena game where it's like you can play your turn, and then when I get back on, I play my turn. Like, that doesn't interest me. Like, I want to sit down, commit the time, and be like, yeah, let's get on the phone, and then we at least can talk about each other, and then like discuss the gameplay and stuff like that. Like, it feels much more like a real game. So, if that's what the next little while has to look like, then it's better than nothing at all. So, yeah.
Discord's great for that, right? Even our channel, or look up any channel, really, they'll have some sort of audio channel for you to connect with, and then you can always turn on your camera, and then it feels like you're kind of sitting around a table with people, and then use Tabletopia or whatever else as your medium for your game. But at least there's this voice, and like it, I really like it,
because we've done that before where I think it was with Chris when we played Vivid. I think we had may have had the videos. I don't know. Like, we were set up where I think it was, we had voice, and we may have had the camera as well. And then we had the gameplay on a separate screen. But like, there's definitely ways to make it feel like you're still hanging out together, even if you're not in the same room.
Well, look at what we did on our live show, right? We used that whole setup with Flamecraft with Peter. We used the same setup with Mike, and I forgot who else played with us, but with the Stuff of Legend. Like, even on a live stream, we did that, but off camera, like playing the game Chris and I are developing, like having the video so you can see each other, and then having or even if you're just using, because I know my computer gives me the big middle finger when I turn on video and I'm trying to run Tabletop Simulator. But even when you have the audio and you just hear people talking rather than like chatting in the box in the thing, like it gives it another element that's missing from staying home and playing games online, which makes it better.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
We can get through this. Like, we're gamers. We're resourceful, and there are tools out there between Discord or Zoom or any other of the chat messaging voice services and the game platforms. Like I said, Tabletopia, PTS, Board Game Arena has a ton of great stuff up there.
And there's some apps too that are really, really good. Some board game apps, like you were saying, Star Realms earlier. But like on my phone, I think I've used the Carcassonne one several times, but I have a couple other ones on tour. That's a game I don't own, but the app, it does all the math for you and the calculation at the end to calculate which path is the longest one or whatever. So it's super easy to play on the app. I played that several times.
Potion Explosion is a good one. I kind of prefer on the app better because the fiddliness of it, of the marbles and manipulating things, it just does it all for you, and it's got nice sound effects and motions and graphics. I have the Istanbul app also, and the AI is like, you have different settings you can set them at, and then you can play the AI, and it's actually like really good and super easy, super quick. I think the game probably takes less than a half hour when it's on the app. Like, it's really, really quick. So there's ways. So do you have a final question for us, Michael?
I do. That was a good transition. We are coming up on 3 hours, so it's a good time to ask this. Since this is the first show of the new year, I'd like to know what you guys are looking forward to in 2022.
All right, I'll let you
goodness.
start. You're the guest.
Me?
Oh, great.
No.
With me.
Oh, I thought you me. I'm like, wait, no, I'm not.
I'm looking
Well,
forward to
you're
this
still gonna have
cast
to
some more.
There you go.
You're still gonna have to answer your own question.
I just want to be cautiously optimistic that we're going to be able to spend more time with each other in person, celebrating all the things that we mutually enjoy and have a passion for in games and other geek stuff. I think we've been, I don't want to end on a more of a dour note, but it feels like it's been 2 years, and I really want to be hopeful, look forward to some light at the end of the tunnel, that we're gonna return to more of a sense of normalcy. So I mean, maybe it's a little more selfish, but because both of you are here, I'm definitely looking forward to the gathering in April and seeing y'all and other people in person and having that time to reconnect with people who are near and dear. I guess that's things like that are what I'm really looking most forward to. Other things like that. Breakout in Toronto is on my radar. It's in March.
I was just looking at the website today. There's not a whole lot on there.
Not yet, no. But the organizers have reached out, I think, to try and gather up some people interested in presenting and guesting and stuff like that. So that,
I think it's going to be a last-minute decision for them. So that's probably why they're not sharing.
I want to be optimistic that Omicron seems to be, again, for lack of a better term, burning through the population pretty quickly. Yeah. It seems like so.
Yeah, so the one thing that my sister was mentioning when I was at Christmas, and she knows a fair bit about this kind of stuff because she reads a lot as well. But she was saying that basically, so what happens with things like COVID or this kind of pandemic is eventually the virus, yes, it now becomes more contagious, but it also becomes less potent in a way, it's less deadly and all that stuff. So eventually it becomes kind of I know people say, don't say it's like the flu. It's not, that's not what I'm saying, but it does become kind of like a flu where you kind of get used to it, and it will be in your life basically. It will not go away, but it will become something that seasonally people might catch in waves, and then you need a booster. It is what it is, but that over time, that's kind of what happens. And then today I was just reading something that basically said the exact same thing, that it's not gonna go away, and it's just gonna become another one of those things that is gonna gradually be less deadly. And then so hopefully that allows us to get out again.
I think the term is endemic instead of pandemic. It's not going away, but it's changing and mutating into maybe more contagious but less dangerous forms, and with appropriate precautions and vaccinations, and we'll get a flu shot every year, and we'll get a COVID shot every year, and that'll.
Well, that's the thing, right? Is they say that people will get their flu shot. If you catch the flu, then it's less severe than if you didn't have the shot. So it's probably going to end up being that same kind of thing, where it's the more at-risk population should continue to definitely But anyways, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your
No. I think perfectly along those lines. That's, in a weird way, I'm looking forward to that. Because I think we're gonna have to come to grips with a world where it is, a constant threat, but less of a existentially dreadful one, and more of just a socially accepted one, which doesn't sound great, but it's the world we live in. So from a gaming perspective, I don't have a lot on my radar. I know it is just these last couple of years of sort of, and I think, I don't want to say diminish the appetite for it, but diminish some of the enthusiasm for keeping up with, what's new and what's hot and what's exciting, because the opportunities to play haven't really presented themselves as much.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm still going to be discovering games from the last couple years this year that will be exciting. Like I'm excited to eventually play, Dune Imperium, which was on everyone's list from last year. I recently had a chance to play just like a solo version of Cascadia because
Oh, I love that game.
there's a I guess it's a website supporting for it. Like it's somebody maybe it's the publisher. Like they coded a sort of solo play for it online.
Okay.
And it works on my phone. I forget the website for it, but I was like, oh, this is really good. This is really fun. I look forward to playing this in person with people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I just played it this past weekend. I went to a couple of my friends, and she's less of a gamer than he is in a way. Like I don't mean that in like she plays lots of games. Just they're basically like it has to be teachable in 5 minutes. So I brought Cascadia because I knew that would go over quite well. And sure enough, like we started playing, she's like, "This is my kind of game. Like it's easy to learn. You basically pick a token, you pick a tile, and you place them down. But there's so much planning and puzzliness to it as to like how to maximize your scoring that like that alone is just it's so satisfying. I love that game.
Yeah, it's very good. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to playing games from 2020 and 2021 with people in 2022. And I honestly I don't know what is coming out in 2022 to look forward to. Yeah, I don't know what. So I guess I'm eager to hear what I guess from a game perspective. And then like again, other geeky stuff. I'm looking forward to all the Marvel stuff, Doctor Strange and Thor, Love and Thunder, and whatever new Star Wars and Marvel content we get over the course of the year, as well.
All the stuff every week, something new, right? Loki 2, Echo, Andor, Obi, whatever it is, throw it at us.
Yeah, definitely. There's going to be a lot of TV watching for me. For me, I don't know. I want to continue to game, and I think that, like the online gaming, like we were talking, is a good option. I mean, if you have like one household that you're able to go to, where it's just the one person, that would be something that I would like to continue to do, depending on the situation. But yeah, because I'm just thinking back at this past weekend on January 1st, like going to a friend's house and we played games like all afternoon and all evening, and it was friggin' amazing. Like it was like a breath of fresh air in the sort of dreadfulness that even though the holidays were nice, like I went to see my family, but there was this cloud over our heads of like you're only allowed this amount of people, and it's just so to get to like a full day of gaming, I'm now like looking forward to more of that because I missed it so much. I've been talking in the Discord how I want to do, like we need to do a board game retreat somewhere and get like all of us together in one place so that we could play games for like 4 or 5 days or something. Like I crave that so much. And so I'm looking forward to the gathering. Obviously, like last year was amazing. Just getting to meet you, like, and all of the people that I met there that I saw at, other conventions this year was just, it's like, it's this little family almost. And I look forward to, those reunions again. And I don't know, for me, I'll be doing more art stuff. Hoping to do another calendar if this one could deliver already. Aside from that, I don't know, maybe some more game design. I definitely have a few ideas. So maybe some of that will start to, amount to something. So we'll see. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. What about you, Michael?
The same. I'm looking forward to getting back at it. To Andrew's point, some sort of normalcy, but things like this can't continue. Like things have to open up. We got to be able to live again with this, learn how to live with it. We can't be, I mean, I guess you can, right? You can have food delivered to your house. You can have anything you want delivered. So you never really have to leave your home anymore. But like that social
No, but
interaction
the
thing is,
economy can't continue like that. Like that's the thing. Is sure you can in your own house
yeah.
get, you know, this and this delivered to you, but the economy cannot sustain this. Like it's
Well,
just
also for mental health, man. Like
that too.
that social interaction. As much, and I said this at the end of the last show. Like I really enjoy meeting on Mondays. Like it's the weekend is happy because I know Monday night I'm going to be with friends talking about geeky shit that I love. And I love that. But like, there's nothing better than being 2 feet away from 3 friends playing a game together. Like there isn't as much as playing online is fun. There's just no substitute to that. And having as chaotic as Gen Con and Origins and QSCon and PAX was, thinking back to like the way that it was before, like pre-COVID era, having the April, then the June, then the August, like it was nicely spaced out where you get to like the board game community for the most part, and there are some douche nozzles in the community, for the most part, it's one big family. Like we all love each other. We're all in the same hobby together, and to be able to see those people that you might only see at Gen Con, or there were some people that I only saw down in Florida when I went to Dice Tower Con, and I haven't seen them. 2 of them that I remember seeing in 2019 have passed away. Like I never got to see them again now, and that sucks when that's taken away. And this is a great substitute, but like getting back at it, and like I said, getting a Daryl hug, there's nothing better than being able to get a hug from someone that knows how to hug. Like it's just one of those things that you crave.
Connor
get it for
the guy that gives hugs.
Who?
The guy from Inside, Connor from Inside Up Games.
Connor is a good hugger. So is Lance. Lance is a great hugger
out there.
Yep. But when you get it and then you don't get it, like just being able to see each other, right? Thinking about being at a convention, gaming with Andrew, gaming with Evan, gaming with Ryan, gaming with these people that have become family. And like that's what I'm looking forward to. And I hope that we get there. If by some miracle it happens sooner than later, great. But hopefully soon.
I think we will. I think that this is just another blip on the radar, and it's not the best of times right now, but I want to be cautiously optimistic that a month from now we'll be looking back and going like, ugh, Christmas 2021 was not the greatest, but it's behind us and we've got stuff to look forward to. And what's the alternative? So I'm going to keep
been doing for 2 years. That's what the alternative is.
Yeah, but you need those things to look forward to. So whether it's Breakout in March or the Gathering in April, or I don't even know if like Origins or Gen Con or anything has been scheduled, or like I know Daryl shares that people are gonna he's inviting people to go to Dice Tower West in Vegas in March. So those things to look forward to are really important. And whether it's another game coming out or a Kickstarter being delivered to you, or just the opportunity to sit down and have a game night with friends locally, or watch the next episode of your favorite TV show or something new is coming out. Like we need things to look forward to, and I don't know. I just keep pinning my hopes on all those things. So if it's I think those are the kind of things that help sustain us and drive us. Whether it's all right, well, we get to Wednesday, we get a new episode of Boba Fett, and we know that like every Wednesday there'll be a new episode of something Star Wars or Marvel. Or if we get to March, we can game in Vegas or in Toronto, or we get to April and we meet in Buffalo, or whatever it is. Those things, those like tent poles to sort of beacons to look ahead to. I don't know. I pin my hopes on those things and look forward to them, and I think that's what helps sustain us all. So I guess I'm looking forward to those things just in a general sense.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Andrew's looking forward to tent poles.
I mean, even small ones. They don't
Small
have to,
tent poles.
you
Okay.
know, like it just that's what sustains me because the day-to-day of it. You're right. It's very easy to kind of sink down into the morass of it all, and if it even means waking up on a Wednesday going like, oh yes, a new episode of Boba Fett, like that drives me for the day. And then it's weird because those things they're available like at midnight, at least for me, on the West Coast. But I still save it for like Wednesday evening. Like I could wake up and watch it first thing Wednesday morning, before sitting down at my computer and working for the day or something. But I still save it because it's like, all right, I get to reward myself for the end of a work day and like settle down and have a dinner, have a drink, watch the new episode of something, or or look forward to a weekend. It's like, all right, we're gonna, I'm gonna get away for a couple days and play game or have a game night and stuff like that. So those are just important things in a very broad sense, I think, to look forward to, and I think it's good to remind ourselves of that. I know I'm sort of waxing philosophic here a little bit. It's like it's not a specific thing, but I think it's just good to remind us all that we all have things to look forward to. They can be small things, but those are just as important as the bigger things in sustaining us through all of this.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and one thing I was looking forward to, and I completely binged watched. It was the new season of Cobra Kai was out, season 4, and I destroyed that in one day. Like I should have paced myself because one day I finished it. It was so good. It's so cheesy. It's so good. It's completely like in line with the movies, The Karate Kid. Like it's just they
awesome.
kept all of the I freaking love the whole show. And there's gonna be another season from what I understand how they left things. There's another season coming. I'm so excited.
There's so much to watch. It's ridiculous.
So
Cobra Kai, The Witcher. There's so
The
many
Witcher. I haven't
things.
gone to that yet. So yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched season 2 of The Witcher yet.
Same.
I haven't watched. I don't know. There's lots of stuff.
Yeah.
I just finished Arcane. Arcane was pretty good.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I finished now season 1 of Jessica Jones. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So now I gotta finish that, and then it's gonna be Luke. What is it, Luke?
Cage.
Yeah,
I like Luke Cage. You can skip Iron Fist.
Thank you.
That's what they said.
And season 2 of Luke Cage. You don't really need season 2 of Luke Cage.
Right? I didn't watch season 2. I didn't.
You're not missing much. I would at least watch season 1 of Iron Fist just because you get the character, you get some backstory, and it'll help a little bit with the Defenders. But if you can get 3 of the 4, you're fine.
Yeah. Okay. And then I see Mike in the comments mentioning Wheel of Time. I know my sister's watching that. She said it was really good.
I don't know that one.
Yeah, I don't know what it's about, but apparently it's really good. So
I guess if we want to kind of wrap up and loop back to what we started with, because we're talking about things to look forward to as well, and sci-fi, there's a new season of The Expanse. I don't know if you watched The Expanse at all. It's phenomenal sci-fi. It's hard. It's like hard sci-fi. It's really good. I think they're on season 6 now. It was on Sci-Fi, the network, for a couple seasons, I think, and then it got canceled and Amazon picked it up. It's really, really, really good sci-fi. It's like sci-fi with imagine Game of Thrones, but better, but also set in sci-fi instead of fantasy. The new season is airing now. It's another thing I look forward to. Like there's a new episode every week, every Friday, I think. So
it's on Prime?
Yeah.
Is it on Amazon Prime? Oh, okay, because I did that.
I think it's all on Amazon Prime. It's really, really, really good. I think it's some of the best pure sci-fi maybe ever. I would argue it's better than Battlestar Galactica.
Holy crap.
It's really, really, really good. Yeah, see? It's phenomenal.
Speaking of Game of Thrones, don't we get the prequel soon?
Yeah, this year.
This year too?
The House of Dragon.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much. It's ridiculous.
But yeah, if you're looking for something and you can binge, but there's a ton of content and it's really good, I can't recommend The Expanse enough.
Matt says that it's a Canadian show. Aw.
So
there you go.
Watch The Expanse.
Cool.
Now we can talk about then watch it and then have me on. We can talk about that.
It's a lot of stuff to watch, though. You said 6 seasons?
It's in its 6th season right now, and I think the seasons are 10 episodes. So I guarantee once you watch, I think it will hook you very quickly, and you'll just want to consume it. I think it has a really good momentum, really compelling characters. It's really good. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to spoil anything. It's really good.
Good.
That's good.
And sci-fi. And I think there might be like, I don't know if there's a board game. I think there's like an RPG for it.
Cool.
I'm almost certain there's an RPG set in the Expanse universe.
Yeah, I've heard. I think Chris watched it, or I don't know if he's caught up, but I think Chris watches it.
That's possible.
And he talked about it being great. All right. Any final thoughts?
This was fun.
Always.
I really enjoy making the trivia for you guys.
That was good. There were some good questions.
Yeah. Thank you for having me again. It's always an honor. I really appreciate it. I love hanging out with you guys and talking about stuff, games, and all of the fun geekery. So maybe one time I'll actually get all of you.
Yes. Let's aim for that instead of like me leaving and then.
Yeah, no. Well, you're not.
So
you said you're never leave.
No.
So yeah, we'll figure that out. But yeah, I appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk about cool shit that we like.
My pleasure. I'm always happy to come on. This was something I got to look forward to over the less than exciting New Year's weekend. And I was like, New Year's isn't great, but Monday will be fun. So thank you for giving me something to look forward to. New Year's wasn't great.
We got to game together for New Year's. It was good.
That's true. We played the last game of the year.
Yeah, sort of. But yeah, it was supposed to.
Oh, you played something after that?
Well, yeah, it was after I played with Peter, but it was supposed to be my last game of the year.
Oh.
But I had to ring in the New Year with somebody.
Okay. Well, you posted it was the last game of the year.
I know, and then I had to edit my post.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Fine, it wasn't the last game. It was my last game of the year.
But then I'm really glad that I was able to play that. Yeah. And then you need a rematch now.
Yes.
Yep. All right.
All right,
guys.
Thanks for coming on the show.
I'm going to hit the right button to head us out. Do we want to see Chris one more time? Give him a little nod.
Yeah. That is an awesome video.
All right, I'm going to let that be the outro. Thanks for those sticking around, Matt, Mike, Peter, all those that popped in throughout the episode. Andrew, as always, Katia, thanks. Kicking off the new year right, and we'll see you next Monday.
Are we going in Discord?
We can pop in and see if anybody pops over there. It's kind of late usually. Yeah, maybe. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
We might as well.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm gonna let Chris take us out. And then hit the right button. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Welcome to the 42! Welcome to the 42! This is the theme song till I get something better.
I can't. It's too good. It's too good. All right, we're out.
Oh my God, I love it.
Yeah.